Okay, so I had an icebreaker section that I figured I'd ask you about. And I think that the best place to start with something like this is to give you a tier list, essentially, right? Because I want to know your opinion, and I can see this on your stream, of essentially a tier list of the races, right? And where you would place each of the races.
Boy, we're starting out with a bang now, aren't we? Okay. Just to be clear, we're talking about Guild Wars 2, right?
No, Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, all right.
Obviously, it has to be related to Guild Wars 2. I mean,
obviously. Oh man.
So
okay.
I built this tier list, and I wanted to figure out,
guys, look at me.
What you would personally think.
Okay, so do you want me to just start like rattling off races and reasons?
No, just give me a second. I got to change the window so everyone can see what you're looking at right now. Races and where you might want to place them. So obviously it's just a basic tier list. Nothing special, nothing major, nothing too difficult. But I figured if I could get you to rank them, we could see how far off base you are.
How far off base I am. Okay, so if we're ranking them, are we ranking like their utilities, cosmetically how they look, the coolest story, or just like a complete package type thing?
No, none of that.
None of that.
What we're ranking is race based on lore, right? Like their lore, their tie into the world, how good it is. And for reference, I don't care about spoilers because spoilers never affect me.
Okay.
Right. I could learn about a story and it doesn't nearly matter as much to me as how it got there. So I'm essentially...
Even if I told you about more Norn mommies that were going to die?
That's perfectly fine.
Beep, beep, boop, maggot.
I've
hey!
With it.
Noxxi, bleep that out before it gets to YouTube. Oh my god. Yo, I gotta be careful asking you questions. Good lord.
I said no bad words in that sentence.
So you said like we're tier list via the lore and you don't care about spoilers.
So spoilers don't matter to me whatsoever, right? People have this big obsession about hearing something, but I couldn't honestly care less about hearing something. I just want to see how do we get to that point. Right?
Fine. Okay.
Someone could tell me the entire story of Batman, and I don't care.
All right, you ready?
So, go ahead.
Okay.
That link.
Sylvari.
Where you would place each of the races individually.
Okay. So, by the way, why does your stream look like you're already redoing the React centipede? There's 2 U's and 2 me's on there.
Well, I mean, I have a brand to maintain, okay? I have a quality level of -10 on a scale of 5 to maintain.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. Let me start trying to answer this question. Okay, so based on lore, and we're holding back nothing here.
I think maybe no. I think I sent you the right link. I had a test link to make sure that I could figure out how to set it up, and then I had an actual link. I think I sent you the right one. It should be the right one.
Yeah, you sent me the wrong one.
Did I?
You are a punk.
Which one did I send you?
You sent me something else.
Do you mind showing it so I can see?
I mind showing it, yes. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Then I definitely sent you the template.
You sent me a tier list of the wrong races.
Oh, okay. That's my bad. That's for Soul Man.
Yeah, I can tell you're trying to get me to say it.
Wait, here we go. Here's the right one. Sorry, my bad. Like I had to test to see if I could actually figure out the tier list. That should be the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is a different link. It is.
Right. Mental note. Yeah, any links you send me, I gotta open on another monitor first.
Yeah, hold on. Did I just send you the same link twice?
No, you didn't. What is this? Oh, there's an Asura in what appears to be a microwave. This was probably made by you. Okay.
I don't know. This is
what?
This is okay, how races are represented in game.
An Asura in a microwave. House in a cat suit, that's probably Char.
Yeah, you see, if
you
a
dude,
identify...
I guess that's just human. Giant lady, so that's Norn, is a trait. Dude, I have to like learn a new language to talk to you to have this conversation. Fine. Tier list. Okay, so this is a tier list based on their lore, and spoilers are full game.
Yes, all of it. All of it matters.
All right.
From every single toe hair that Logan sucked on Queen Jenna's feet.
Toe hair now?
All
okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's going to town on those feet. All
I
the
don't
way
know anything.
down to why the Asura are the shadow government of Guild Wars 2 and cause all the problems in Tyria.
Okay, fine. Let's start with the Sylvari. The Sylvari they're kind of cool from a player perspective because this is the only MMO I know of where you can play a plant. That is unique. However, lore-wise, they're just a couple of years old. They are brand spanking new. You know a bit about this. There's the Pale Tree, and then bleh, and then there's like all these kids, and they all come out adult form, but none of them are older than like, I don't know, like 10 or 20 or something. Like they're a brand new race, which means they don't have a lot of background lore or anything. So their lore is quite boring because it's non-existent. So I don't know. Probably I'm gonna put it like there for now, but there's not much there. There's absolutely not much there.
Okay, that's fair.
Um,
That's actually fair. They're all still of Minecraft age, so I can't disagree with you on that. I would actually put it in F tier.
I reserve the right to move them around after I see how these land. Okay, Norns.
Right.
Norns are barbarian type people. They're very primitive. Like they don't have much in the way of technology. It's mostly fire and spirits and stuff like that. And they've got some like minor shape shifting and things like that. But you know, it's like their whole city, there's like no electricity or anything like that. And most of their lore is like, oh, you know, Bobby talked to a bear and got the bear spirit, and now Sam's mad and stuff like that. That's
So
actually the entire history of the
is-
Sons of Svanir.
So what you're telling me is that they are uncorrupted by technology.
Sure.
They're still pure.
They
They have not invented the TV and the electric chair.
Both technically true. They do have some cool moments like in the books and stuff like that. But overall, you know, they're a very primitive race, so there's not a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on. I'm definitely putting them above Sylvari. I'm not sure here or here. I'm gonna say there for example. They love beer. They do love beer. If you're an alcoholic, you'd love Norns. All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Humans.
God, I would put them higher. I'm sorry, I'd put Norn higher.
Well, I might shift that, but I'm definitely putting them above Sylvari. All right, humans in most fantasy games, I find humans to be the boring race because you know they're just like the default. You know, they're the template, and everything else is basically human plus or minus something. However, there is that bit of lore about how they're alien invaders from another planet, and
They're
that's
legal immigrants,
freaking
yes.
unique. Yeah, like they're the monsters from beyond the Dark Portal. They came from Shadow Moon Valley. So in Guild Wars 2, also there's the whole thing where they can sometimes become gods. You can add like Cormyr and stuff like that, and their gods are real. You know, Balthazar. You know, who
People have
is-
told me that you absolutely love Cormyr. They haven't told me why. They just said it's like your favorite god.
So, okay, I played Guild Wars 1 so long ago, and it did not hook me. I do not even remember this. But the whole thing is Cormyr was a mortal in Guild Wars 1, and apparently at some really crucial moment near the end of the game, when you're like about to ascend to godhood, Cormyr goes, "Oh, I got you, buddy," and he cuts in front of you and he ascends to godhood and takes it from you. So everyone hates Cormyr because they stole the player's the ascension.
That's
or
the
whatever.
blind one.
I don't even know. But Cormyr is one of the human gods who's like newish because they just recently ascended. Cormyr's a she. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
You're just misgendering an entire
I misgendered a
god.
god. I'm gonna get smoked now. Yeah. So the humans, just because of their whole thing with like their gods are real, they got their back for the most part. They'll like move them to another planet if their people are about to die. You know, that's all kind of interesting. Definitely, like if I were to do this, then I would put humans at least like 2 tiers above Norns, probably. Charr.
Disgusting.
The Charr are they're steampunk. Their physiology is freaking weird. They're a cat bull thing. You know, they got 4 ears. They got the horns, but they're a cat other than that. I don't know what's going on there. But they're steampunk. Like, you know, they've got they've got tanks. They have giant tanks. Their city looks like a freaking Death Star. I know you saw it because you made a Char. They got a lot of cool stuff going on. Firearms, things like that. I love steampunk. I have played so many video games that have like a steampunk thing going on. They actually have quite a bit of lore with the different the different tribunes and the different groups and stuff like that. Like there's the Flame Legion and the Blood Legion and all of that, and basically you get like you get assigned to one and you're raised by that legion. There's a lot of lore about the Charr, and part of it is because even going back to Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 1 was basically humans versus Charr. And so they've got most of the stuff of the game. Like the Sylvari, the Asura, and the Norns have less lore in the game than humans and Charr do, because humans and Charr are basically the Warcraft 1 orcs versus humans. They've been at it for the longest. So just talking lore, Char's got to be near the top, because we know a lot about them.
Yeah, that's fair. As an added note on top of that, they do also seem to have the most adult content made about them.
I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it.
I've been emailed terabytes of information.
Yeah, you got a nice email. No one can mail me terabytes. Asura.
It's very important.
All right, talking lore-wise, we know a bit about them. They were introduced in one of the last expansions. The Asura and the Norns were introduced in one of the last expansions of Guild Wars 1. So they were way later on. And their whole thing is they lived way underground. They didn't care about the problems on the surface, kind of like dwarves from other fantasy universes. Except they were forced. Yeah, sure. Why not? I knew you were going to say that at some point tonight. But they were forced to go to the surface because Primordius woke up. Giant, angry fire dragon the size of Florida was underneath the ground and was waking up, and they were forced to the surface by all the demons. Or I said demons, the flame things that he makes.
Are you telling me that they dug too deep?
They just kind of already lived too deep, and then he woke up and they got chased up to the surface.
Okay, so they'll dodge responsibility for what they did. I understand.
Sure. But then at the same time, when Jormag woke up at the same time, because Primordius and Jormag are twins, and Jormag terrorized the Norns, because they all lived in the frosty north, and that's where Jormag was. So Jormag chased the Norns out of their homeland, and Primordius chased the Asura out of their homeland. The Asura, they're the technologically superior race in the game. They have like the flying cities. They make the portal networks, the waypoints that we use to go all over the world. Those are Asuran, with the exception of the ones in Cantha. Those are supposed to be made by the people in Cantha. So they've got a lot of technology and stuff like that. But they were just introduced in it's called the Eye of the North expansion of Guild Wars 1. I also know about like what else do I know about? There's the Inquest, which is basically the Asura bad guys. They always wear red. So they come up in the story many times. In the early game, if you play Asura, they're basically early game enemies. If you are in the late game, you run into them a few times. So they've definitely... I would feel like they definitely got more lore than the Sylvari. I'd probably have to tie them with the Norns, because they've been in the universe for the same amount of time. Even if I personally think the Asura are more interesting than the Norns, I think they have about the same volume of lore.
Okay, that's fair. I would put the Asura lower, because it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, they are directly responsible for racism by linking everyone together.
But
they live in a Rubik's Cube.
Well, the humans
solve.
and the Charr were murdering each other for years before they met Asura.
Yeah, but that's because a bunch of
Beep, beep, boop.
showed up on their doorstep. But what are you supposed to do as a Charr? Let me just run over and give you all my land. Okay, so you think there are no S-tier races?
When it comes, I mean, okay, so like we could do this, but honestly, like the Charr, no, I don't think they're S-tier. I think they're interesting. Like I said, I love steampunk in any franchise, and in this franchise, that's the Charr. And they do have a lot of lore. There's multiple novels about them in the universe, and also half of Guild Wars 1 was about the Charr. Lots of Guild Wars 2 is about the Charr. Like I know you played the Charr newbie zone. You remember all the ghosts were because of the whole Searing and Ascalon and all of that. Like, there's a ton of that information.
Yeah, it was fantastic. They beat the humans' asses so bad that they came back as ghosts.
Yeah, they basically fired a magical nuclear missile at them, and that was the result.
Yeah. Imagine getting ratioed so hard on Twitter that you haunt your account as a ghost. That's essentially what happened to them.
Super God says, ask Muck about the Sylvari's true master. That's a major Heart of Thorns spoiler, but I could tell you if you want.
Well, I kind of know it already because if you like walk around the Sylvari world, there's like, and you actually listen to some of the conversations happening in the background, and then you pay attention to the group that's attached to the nightmare.
Uh-huh.
They kind of hint at it.
What do they hint at?
As far as I'm aware, they were meant to serve one of the dragons.
Yeah.
The jungle dragon thing.
Yeah.
And that jungle dragon is essentially, it's not really their dad. It's more like their granddad in a way.
I mean, it kind of. Basically, the jungle dragon is Mordremoth, and they just control, I guess, life energy. There's this actually very epic cutscene right when you start Heart of Thorns of like all the airships entering like the airspace above the jungle, and then trees kind of grow upward at like lightning speed, kind of like spears, and basically just like start impaling the airships. It's actually, in my opinion, one of their finest cinematics. But he just controls life to an absurd degree, and yes, he is related to the Sylvari.
So essentially, what you're telling me is Mordremoth had a chia pet that got out of control.
Something like that. Apparently, if you play, I never have, but if you play a Sylvari through Heart of Thorns story, it's apparently very interesting because in addition to doing all the stuff that you as the commander have to do, you're also having to fight off his control.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because he's like, you know,
it's like race-specific stuff.
Yeah, he's trying to take hold.
That's actually pretty awesome. Okay, that makes me want to move Sylvari up to D tier at least.
Okay, I'll do that. But yeah, like I said, the Sylvari are very, very young, so there's not a lot of lore going on. But what lore they have is very, very tightly knit with Heart of Thorns.
Yeah. I think they probably needed to give them a whole expansion, especially since they didn't have much backstory. That's like that must have been a requirement at some point.
Maybe. I mean, you could almost say like if Heart of Thorns is the Sylvari expansion, then Icebrood Saga. And I'll be vague here, because there's no need to spoiler you if it's not necessary. Icebrood Saga is absolutely the Char content. Like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Icebrood Saga is all about the Char.
I have heard that one before.
Mm-hmm. And then, let me think. I'm thinking, is there one for... I'm trying to think if there's one for the other races. Path of Fire... A lot of people saying Path of Fire is human. Because one of the expansions of Guild Wars 1 was called Nightfall, and I didn't play it, but you revisit a lot of the places from Nightfall when you go into Path of Fire, which is the desert area, and so there's a whole lot of human encampments and cities and stuff like that. Also, yeah, how could I forget? The one of the main antagonists of Path of Fire is one of the human gods, which you already know because I remember you making a joke about it.
Yeah, I kind of saw that. I saw people talking about it in chat. They were discussing with I think it was 3 people who were saying that Path of Fire is the worst expansion, and then just a wave of people telling them to shut up.
I mean, I'm not gonna scream at anybody, but I definitely disagree with that statement.
Like, it was pretty funny. I think they did it to bait people.
Yeah, like there's no Guild Wars 2 expansion that I have hated, but I did enjoy the because there's the larger expansions, then there's this new system they're doing with smaller ones, right? So like Janthier and Soto are smaller expansions, and
that's because they're running out of money, right?
That's a whole nother conversation. But I definitely enjoyed all 3 of the larger ones more than the 2 newer ones, just because of just the sheer amount of content they offered.
All right, so it's kind of like the deeper you get in, the better it gets.
Sure.
I'm trying my best not to make an analogy to follow that, but that leads up to the next question.
Yes.
Which is, where's Guild Wars 3?
Are you trolling right now?
No, I'm serious. I keep hearing about Guild Wars 3, and I don't know if people are serious or whether it's just never happened.
Oh my god, no, I've had this conversation so many times.
Is it gonna be like Overwatch 2, where they just strap on an expansion and change the number?
All right, real talk. Real talk. I'm gonna assume you know nothing, and I'm gonna answer accordingly, okay? All right.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, so there was a shareholder meeting last year with like NC Soft ArenaNet, something like that. Basically the people that own the people that own the people that play Guild Wars 2. All right? There was a shareholder meeting, and it was in another language, okay? It was like in Korea or something. And they were talking about this. And there was something from that meeting that was mistranslated to be Guild Wars 3 instead of 2. And Of course, once that mistranslated version of the meeting made it over to the US, everyone, oh, and everybody freaked out. Here comes Guild Wars 3. And then a while later, ArenaNet's like, we have not announced anything on this. We have not said anything about this. That was not an official source. Now, they also didn't deny it. They very carefully said, we didn't say anything about this. So if they are making it, it's not been officially announced. And you know how long it can be when a game is announced versus when it's released. Like, if they haven't even announced it yet, even if they are making it, it could be years before we see it. Additionally, there was another rumor going around that I'll explain, is they have public job postings, right? And a while back, they did a job posting, and they said, we're looking for someone, chat, was it Unity or Unreal Engine? Someone will tell me in a second. But they said, we're looking for someone that has existing experience in Unreal Engine to help us with work on a new game in an existing franchise. And once again, everybody...
That might have been thrown in Liberty, though.
Could have been. But again, a lot of people are like, Guild Wars 3, which, again, it could be. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying there has never been, from an official source at ArenaNet or NCSoft, public-facing, that said we're doing this. It's been a lot of jumping to conclusions. And they might be, and it would be awesome if they were, but that's where we're at right now.
All right. So that leads to a follow-up. If, by some magical power, there was a Guild Wars 3 that was going to be released, are you going to abandon Guild Wars 2?
Fluently in your chat says that my voice is like super loud on your end if you need to adjust.
Oh, okay. Let me just dial it down.
No, just trying to help. It depends.
Thank you.
So,
good.
I'm immediately reminded of many years ago, the first MMO I ever got into was EverQuest. And many years later, they released EverQuest 2. And I played, I went kind of back and forth for a bit. As a content creator, I would probably still play Guild Wars 2 periodically and make sure to play all the, the brand new content. But I would probably also spin up a Guild Wars 3 account and play that as well, go back and forth. There are people that I, like just YouTubers that I watched play StarCraft, and then I watched them play StarCraft 2. As long as the game is similar enough, I can guarantee I would at least try it. Would I sink 9,000 hours into it? I don't know about that, but I would at least try it. The number one thing I would hope for if they made a Guild Wars 3, let me pause for a second. Are you aware of the Hall of Monuments system?
No.
Okay.
No idea what that is.
Okay, so TLDR, in Guild Wars 1, in the expansion, they added a thing called the Hall of Monuments. It was basically an achievement system, but as you earned achievements in Guild Wars 1, it also got you stuff in Guild Wars 2. And it's nothing game-breaking. It's like cosmetic things, titles, armor, the graphics of armor sets that were unique to Guild Wars 1. And for Rangers, there were some different skins of some Ranger pets, like a Black Widow spider skin that you can't get anywhere else. And so they basically gave you some incentive to keep playing Guild Wars 1 and not abandon it completely while Guild Wars 2 is coming out. If they do a Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3 thing, I would love to see them use that system again, because it was very popular, and people even to this day still go back sometimes. Like they're Guild Wars 2 players, they've done everything. Sometimes they'll go play Guild Wars 1 and then just to get more stuff for their Guild Wars 2. It just kind of is a nice way of linking the games together. I know Noxxi was working, the toughest title to get in the game is one from Guild Wars 1 called God Walking Amongst Mere Mortals, or GWAM abbreviated. And that...
Yeah, I see Noxxi with that title.
Yeah, you get that by getting virtually every achievement in Guild Wars 1. And so if you see someone with that title in Guild Wars 2, they've been around a bit. And, so that's one of like the toughest ones to get. So if they just reused that idea again, it would be very good for getting people to play both games at times and not just abandon one for the other, which again was a problem I saw when EverQuest 2 came out. A lot of people were like, oh, well, why am I playing the first game if the sequel is out, And Sony accidentally killed a bunch of their player base.
So essentially, what you're telling me is that Noxxi essentially spun up Cheat Engine.
How did
blasted their way
that?
through Guild Wars 1. dodged the filters, and then got the reward. No, I'm joking. I've seen Noxxi's technical skill. It's ridiculous.
They're okay.
So, here's a better question then to follow up with that. If it came to a Guild Wars 3 thing, if there was a Guild Wars 3 and it was happening, would you want NCSoft attached to that project, or would you prefer that ArenaNet was the only one involved in it? Like, this is obviously pie in the sky. MMOs take millions of dollars to develop. It's never happening. But would you trust NCSoft to not turn it into a pay-to-win clown show that lasted a month before people went back to Guild Wars 2?
I honestly don't feel like I know enough about what NCSoft makes ArenaNet do versus what ArenaNet chooses to do on their own to be able to answer that. Like, I don't know how many of their decisions are orders from above or their own ideas.
Okay, so basically, you're not aware of the internals. I don't think anyone is. It's kind of all just conjecture.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just occasionally complain like, they nerfed Ranger again. God dang it! But I don't know who's responsible.
Okay, now onto more relevant questions. Right, there are things that involve Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
Question 1. Why the hell does your game always look so much better and cleaner than mine? What have you done?
I've actually had a lot of people ask me, because there are add-ons such as Reshade that add another layer of like shading to your game to make it look sharper. I'm not using anything like that. I will right now open my graphics settings on stream, and you can take a screenshot or you can just check the VOD later on. This is what I'm using. I do have some mods on my game. None of them affect the graphics. But this is my settings right now.
Okay, so you're just using in-game graphics.
Yes.
It's essentially you've been blessed by ArenaNet directly. They came down, gave you a kiss on the forehead, and somehow magically you just look better than everyone else. Okay. I understand.
Yes.
Okay. So again, questions that are related that people have begged me to ask you yesterday. There are 3 of them. The first is, what is the bone zone?
Okay.
Is that like an area or?
Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, real talk. All right. You know I'm married and I have a kid, right?
Okay, is this okay?
This is completely PG.
This
is completely PG. I'm just clarifying. All right. Once upon a time, I was playing Subnautica. Are you familiar with that game?
Okay. Yes, I'm aware of that game.
In Subnautica, in Subnautica, the regions of that game are called things like the tropical zone, the Arctic zone, the blah 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 zone. Okay? That was one of the first games I ever streamed. I was streaming it, and I had my kid with me. He was like 6 years old, and he was watching me play, and he was giving me advice of terrible things to do. And there was this one part where we were underwater, and there was these like massive like dead leviathans, so like massive bone piles, right? Rib cages bigger than buildings. And we're going through
that's the part of the game. Sorry, that's the part of the game where the ghost leviathan is, right?
Yeah. That's that exact spot. So we're going through here in our little sub, and I'm put, and he's with me, and he's like, again, because of the naming conventions, he goes, "Whoa, Dad, I bet this place is called the Bone Zone." And of course, being very mature, I said, and my chat, which was, it was like 20 people. I not nearly, the growth that I have now on my channel. Were all like losing their minds, right? And it became a running joke.
Not Guild Wars 2 related.
Right. It became a running joke for a long time, and it was just like welcome people to the Bone Zone when they would join. And then they would unfollow because they would misunderstand. And we have an emote. There's a bone zone on it, and it has like actual bones. But it was a running joke for a long time, and I stopped doing it, and we changed it to be like the lab, and I got the little guy with the potion bottle because I was tired of having to explain that no, I'm not being raunchy because so many people misunderstood. That's it. That's all it was.
I would force them to misunderstand. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There's 2 questions. These are kind of an IQ test.
Oh God.
Right? What color is the CC bar?
The CC bar? It's like a light blue. I should clarify, if you mean like when it's time to CC, it's a light blue. If you've already CC'd, I think it's like brown. And if it can't be CC'd, it looks like silver plating.
Oh no. Okay, that means I need to go see if I'm colorblind.
Hold on
I
a
was
second.
convinced. I'm convinced it's
GW2
green.
Defiance bar. Hold on a sec.
I'm
Image
convinced
search.
that the Defiance bar is green.
Okay, hang on a sec. So I'm pulling this up on my stream right now. So like that. I mean, light blue.
Okay,
light
that's
green.
a bright blue, but when I saw it in game, it looked green.
Teal? Yeah, I would take teal.
That's definitely blue.
And then this one is one let's see, where's the one like the silver plating? I don't know if there's a good picture.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Why is... Okay, maybe it's my game settings. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because I've got like a monitor that I got off of Wish.com. And the second part of this that I had to ask you apparently was, what makes Braham your favorite character? Why do you love him so much?
All right, I actually heard.
In my opinion, he's hideous.
I actually heard that you recently met Bram, and
oh god,
when you first meet
him is an understatement.
Okay, assuming that you meet him, you're playing the story in chronological order. Okay, when you first meet him, that is the best he's ever written, and he gets infinitely worse as time goes on. Okay,
so you're telling me that as he looks better, his story.
Not talking looks. I'm talking the story. All right. Now again, this is spoilers. So if at any time you want me to stop, I will stop. But I'm going to answer your question until you tell me to stop. Go for it. All right.
Go for it.
There are many moments.
This game's 13 years old.
All right. There are many moments in the story where he. Okay. Oh, God. There's so many words trying to leave my mouth right now. If you had a guy in the military and he's leading a squad, and because he does something incompetent, his whole squad dies. Okay. Does he come back and the military go, try again, and they give him another squad? I freaking hope not. But that's what's happened with Bram time and time and time again. Because he's the commander's bestie, we keep giving him more red shirts to take off and get killed. Okay. And that's happened so many times.
Okay. I can kind of understand where these commanders are coming from. Okay. If you've got a guy that's so ugly that he's a direct effect on morale, you're gonna keep on wanting to throw him into danger, hoping he dies.
The thing is, like, I know he wants to help, but he needs to like work in the soup kitchen or something. Like, he cannot be on the front lines. And anyway, there are parts in the story where we're like, Bram, we need help, and he's just like, yeah, and he just runs off on his own and starts trouble. Literally, the entire Icebrood saga can be summed up with Bram got drunk and accidentally gave the enemy his weapon. That is the entire IBS. All right? And like the whole time you're like, Bram, no! And he's like, Bram, yes! And just throws back another shot. And you know, like there was one part where he gets what's her name? Rox. He and Rox are on a mission. She gets frozen solid trying to keep up with him because he's being stupid, and he's like, well, you're slowing me down, and he leaves her to die. And then we have to run in and save her. And it's just like time and time again. There's an entire ghost camp in what is it? Bjorn Marches of people he led up there got killed. It was like, whoops, and then he left. And when he comes back there later, they're all trying to kill him. And he's like, I don't know why these ghosts are so pissed. And it's like, because you killed them all. Like, dude, he has more confirmed kills of our allies under his belt than half the Elder Dragons do. And for some reason, everyone's still surprised I hate this guy.
Okay, so the follow-up is that it's kind of like a double bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
First, why is Grendel on our side? Why did we decide to put the ugliest person in charge of everyone? Like did Gilwood, like any dev come out and actually tell us why he's there?
Hold on, who? Grendel?
Grendel, yes. Okay, Google it. Grendel Beowulf. That'll make sense.
Hold on, yours too.
I'll put it up on my stream if you need me to.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm Googling. Obviously, I Google Beowulf, and Beowulf's coming up.
Yeah. I'll give you the spelling.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, I straight up do not know what NPC we're talking about right now.
Well, we're still talking about Bram.
Because like I know the story of Grendel and Beowulf, like in mythology, but within Guild Wars 2, I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm thinking about the movie. There's a movie of Beowulf.
Uh-huh.
Right? And if you Google Grendel Beowulf, it should show up.
Oh, I was Googling Guild Wars 2 Grendel Beowulf. Okay. Yeah, I see this hideous creature.
Yes. Okay. So what I need to ask is, how did that fall out of air? And please tell me that's like some conspiracy. That's not actually.
Look, I
the child.
hate Bram for his writing. You're saying you think he looks like this thing?
Well, I haven't seen enough of his story, but yes, he does look like that. I see no difference, no discernible difference.
You know what? Since we're in spoiler central right now, there's a part in the story way later on where I'll say this is.
See, even your chat agrees. Your chat agrees. They're like, that's just Bram.
There's a part in the story.
Me.
There's a part in the story where Bram finally gets to talk with Air, and he's like, Mom, can we make up? And she's like, oh no, honey, that time has passed. And she just walks away. And it was so satisfying. And they never talk again.
He deserves it.
They literally spoke to each other. It's like the Bechdel test. It's like that one time they talked. And she's like, oh no, sorry, we can't do that. And then she's like, all right, what's next? And then just like walked away.
Great. Fantastic. Okay. So he's the D&D character everyone abuses and deserves it. That's beautiful. I'm glad that his story doesn't get better.
He's the D&D character that keeps asking if they can join, and everyone begrudgingly lets him join, and then he makes everything just like worse.
Nice. Okay, so does he ever meet Attilia? Because he keeps talking about Attilia. You even remember
the girl? Is that the girl he liked in season 1?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's in the past. I don't know if he ever sees her again. He might see her again like one more time, but she does not become a permanent plot point.
Okay, great. Okay, well now
great. You're happy about that.
He enjoys Charr components. That's talking about that big-eyed Charr. What's her name? I keep forgetting.
Rox?
Roxy. Yes, that one. Rox. Does he get his rocks off? That's the real question.
No, that's the one that he actually
Grendel's
almost.
mum
That's the
would
one he
be
got frozen
Angelina
solid
Jolie
while they were
would be
allies,
a
and he left her to die because he's an
chicks
idiot.
Okay, that's even better.
He's like, let's go this way. She's like, don't go that way. She hit a trap. But he's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess you suck. And he just leaves, and we had to frantically run in and rescue her. And she's like, he didn't mean it. And I'm like, where have I heard this before?
That's beautiful. So what you're telling me is out of pure incel spite, he leaves her to die. That's beautiful.
Also,
wonderful.
Funny enough, like
storytelling.
halfway through the story, if you play the whole thing, Rox's voice actress suddenly changes, so her voice suddenly gets really deep.
Nice.
Just like out of nowhere.
Hey, throat cancer will do that to you.
I guess.
Okay, so that covers all the story elements I wanted to know. It's not really going to ruin anything for me because I still want to see how things advance to that point. I want to see it for myself. Right? So sorry to everyone who had his stories ruined. You should have been here 13 years ago. Okay, that's a you problem. Now to the actual issues about Guild Wars 2 and its leveling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had this image in my head about Guild Wars 2 and the way it takes you through the leveling story, right?
All right.
Now, it's not perfect. Let's ignore all the story elements. I actually think the leveling experience, gameplay-wise, is actually pretty good, right? The game is, it acts like your dad, and you're like a baby learning to walk, right? It like gently guides you step by step, and like it encourages you. It's like, well done, figured out how to use the heal button. Congratulations, here's another ability. Maybe you could try some combinations. You know, you can try some debuffs. You can try buffing your character, and then you hit level 80, and it's like all of a sudden your dad picks you up and plays rocket ship with you near the ceiling fan, and then all of a sudden the world doesn't make sense after that point. Nothing makes sense because there's just too much to deal with, right? Because it throws a bunch of systems at you that you've never seen before. And the question I have is, if you were given ultimate power, if you
Beep boop.
a lamp and a genie came out and said you have one wish, and your wish has to be related to fixing the leveling story of Guild Wars 2, what would you do to fix it?
All right. I've never thought about this before, so I don't have a answer ready to go. If you had said,
this is exactly
what
why I
would you
didn't give you
change
these questions beforehand.
Yeah, if you had said, what would you change to make Guild Wars 2 better, I would have said more frequent balance patches. Because like if something is overpowered in PvP, it's overpowered for 6 months.
But that's high end. That's high end. I'm talking about like the core.
Right.
gameplay
That's not what you mean.
itself.
Okay. I mean, I'm immediately reminded of like a year or so ago, they went back to a bunch of the bosses that were in the newbie zones, like the world bosses, and they updated them and added some new stuff. For example, there's a boss called the Fire Elemental. It does like a shock wave, like a flame wave that goes along the ground. And if it gets hit by you, even if you're level 80, it pops up a pop-up, and it's like, did you know you could jump that? And it's like, shut up! Because yes, I knew, I just was stupid today. So they have made some small attempts to introduce late game mechanics into the early game, but they're not in enough places. Like, you can go 1 to 80 without ever fighting the Fire Elemental, right? And you could get to level 80 and still not know that there's a lot of different attacks you could jump over. And yeah, that is very much a thing. I know the first time I found out about that, I was like, wait, I thought it was just dodge or nothing. I didn't know you could just spacebar jump over some things. But that's apparently a thing. So I would say that like some of these systems that are designed to teach you need to be in more locations. Because like there's a there's like a dodging tutorial in like a random location in each of the newbie zones now, and it's completely easy to miss it. You could 100% the zone and not even find it.
I will be honest with you. The first 3 times I leveled a Norn character, I couldn't find the dodge area. I walked right past it without.
It should be at the very least they should probably include it as part of the map completion for that zone. So if you're trying to 100% the map, you come across it. But right now it's not. It was added after the map comp, and they didn't add it to map comp. So it's just like in a weird spot for each of the races. And again, it's one of those situations where Guild Wars 2 you have a lot of freedom, but that also means you have the freedom to do some really stupid stuff, like level without ever understanding the game. Okay, so I don't have. I guess my answer is I wish that they would introduce more end game systems earlier during the leveling process, a little bit at a time, and just like what they did with those world bosses was decent, but it needs to be more.
Okay, so in your head, lean into what you're good at. They've got fantastic gameplay. Just make the gameplay more like accessible throughout the core story. Essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, again, so it would be
don't touch the story. It's irredeemable, is what I'm hearing.
Your ears have quite a filter on them. No, it's just like the game is awesome. Like I love this freaking game, but I mean, I would say 9 out of 10 people get to max level doing 1/10 of the damage they're capable of. Like that is a big example. If you've got someone if you've got a WoW hunter who doesn't know how to play and he's smashing keys, and you've got a WoW hunter who also is the same level and he knows what he's doing, the difference between them will not be tenfold. There will be a difference. It'll be visible on the damage meters if you're running them. But in Guild Wars 2, it's like 10x, which is a lot. That's a bit much.
I've noticed because I leveled a Guardian and didn't know what I was doing, like on a second account. And I was just kind of slapping buttons and doing nothing. It's horrible.
Dude, even me.
To read the tooltips.
To give you an example, I've been playing, it doesn't matter. I'll just say Untamed. I've been playing Untamed lately. And Snow Crows, you know who they are. They're the math nerds. They're very good at looking at the available buttons and cooldowns and saying if you hit these buttons in this order with these timings, you will get the highest mathematically possible damage. They don't care about fun. It's just that makes biggest number. And when they play Untamed, they're able to crank out 40,000 damage per second. When I play the same build, I am struggling to hit 30k. However, when I go to fight like any world boss or join any groups, I'm number 1 on the meter often because no one else knows how to play, even though I'm struggling to hit 75% of the benchmark. So it's essentially, this is, I think, what makes Guild Wars 2 gameplay so fantastic in the first place, is it's super easy to learn, but it's difficult to master. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you agree with that statement or not. I definitely agree with it, because I enjoyed probably hundreds of hours of this game before I started to understand half of the systems. You could jump in, have no idea what you're doing, wander around, and have fun, which of course is the most important part of any video game. You can have fun, you can enjoy it, and for every one try hard, there's 10 people just having fun, and that's your biggest customer base. But yeah, I absolutely agree that there's a massive difference between the easy to pick up people and the hard to master people.
All right, that's perfect. It's perfect. Yep. So I'm gonna take you through something right now, and I'm gonna pull up paint on my screen for this to make sense. Right? You don't have to look at it, but I need this to make sense. Right? So I come from a technical engineering background, and a lot of product design and so on and so forth. So there's a philosophy that a lot of engineers follow. Right? It's called spectacles,
Beep, beep.
wallet, and watch. Right?
Wait, I heard the first two words. What was after that?
So spectacles,
Beep, beep.
wallet, and watch. Right? Those describe 4 different types of plays, right? And what they care about, right? So spectacles would be the people who are there for the visuals. They're there for the things that look pretty. They want to explore the world. They're looking at map completion. They're thinking about what are these beautiful vistas? Damn, I really like the way Lion's Arch has a bunch of ships buried into the side of the wall. That they've rebuilt the place, right? They care about lore. They care about the larger world, the story, essentially.
Okay.
Beep, beep.
Are, generally speaking, PvP players, people who want to do very complex stuff. I'm trying my best not to say it, but essentially it's the people who like to go big.
Beep.
They're
Right.
they're tryhards in whatever thing they're doing.
Yes, they're super try-hard, ultra optimized. They couldn't care less about how many Asura babies got thrown into the oven this morning, and how many actually deserved it. They just care how much damage can I do in the raid, and how much can I feed my ego, right? Now the wallet players are the econ players. These are the players who care about how can I farm gold most efficiently? How can I gear up? How can I get things, right? And then watch are the players who don't have much time, right? These are the guys with 7 different children and 12 different wives, and they've got 20 minutes every week to play Guild Wars 2, and all they really care about is how can I extract the most out of the 20-minute play session I'm going to get before my wife yells at me because I didn't put all the dishes in the dishwasher, even though I did, and I'm sure I did.
Now, which of these
I did that last week.
Which of these groups has the whales in it?
So that would, generally speaking, be a combination of the testicles players and the wallet players, right?
Okay, but
So,
what the spectacles players though? They like visuals, right? Would they be buying stuff off the cash shop if it's like a nice outfit?
They potentially, yes, but think about it this way, right? So this is kind of like a stat block, right, where you can fulfill a certain component of stats on each of these corners, right? And you can, generally speaking, do 3 of the 4, but you can never do 4 altogether, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if you can have a player that, let's say, they love everything pretty and wonderful, so they're going to spend a bunch of money. They want the most amount of gold. They're going to go swipe their credit card until it melts in their hands, so that they can have the best gear. They can swap gems for gold. They can look the prettiest, and they want to get ahead of everyone else. So then you've got a spectacles and a wallet player, right? Primarily. And then they will be less performative than other people who optimize their character just because they haven't actually spent the time required to train themselves to be better at it, right?
Okay.
And they don't have to worry about time as much because to them it's about looking pretty, right? So they would have a stat block that looks something like what you can see on my screen right now.
Uh-huh.
So of these 4 archetypes, if you've got someone who just hit level 80, if you had a spectacles player, keeping in mind that they care about everything pretty and what it looks like, what is the first thing you would go tell that player to do?
So the spectacles player likes taking in visuals and the world around them and vistas and stuff like that, I believe you said.
Yes, and pretty mounts and making their character look wonderful, and they don't really care about performance. They don't care how they do in a raid.
Okay.
They're just here for the experience.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, these players tend to be younger. I don't know if you've seen how kids play MMOs. You probably have, where instead of caring about the world, they're like just wandering through it in sheer awe that this thing exists.
Right. So
if that makes sense.
I guess if I'm talking to a spectacles player that just hit 80, the first thing I would make sure they understand is the transmutation charges system. Like, you can take gear with good stats and make it look like whatever gear you think looks awesome, you know, because they seem to care about that, right? So I would make sure that they have an understanding of the transmutation charges system. And honestly, from what you described, I would tell them about world map completion. Because if they really like going around and taking the sites and seeing vistas and stuff like that, well, guess what? We've got a thing for that. It's called World Map Comp, and also give some rewards.
What expansion? And then what expansion would you tell them to go look at?
Yes.
What would be their favorite expansion?
Okay, so for visuals, I mean
pure visuals.
Yeah. Okay, so the base game has some of everything.
Yeah.
Path of Fire, not gonna lie, it's mostly desert. As far as visuals go, it's desert. Heart of Thorns.
So it's not Path of Fire.
Yeah, Heart of Thorns, I think, is a beautiful, tangled labyrinth. It is some of the only maps where there's an elevation slider because the map is different based on what floor of it you're looking at. Very easy to get lost there, but in my opinion, the gameplay can be frustrating there. But visually, I think Heart of Thorns is beautiful. And then End of Dragons. End of Dragons is also gorgeous. It's very, Asian themed. It's got, like cherry blossom trees and bright colors on the landscape and stuff like that. It's full of weebs, yeah, but it's weebs with giant robots and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, so ultra weeby.
Ultra weeby. Yeah, but I think it looks good, which was your question. If we're looking at some of the others, yeah, things like Soto. The Wizard Tower is pretty cool, and the first zone in Soto is a bunch of flying islands that are kind of like they used to be pocket dimensions. So like one of them looks like it came from End of Dragons, one of them looks like it came from Path of Fire, etc., etc. So it's really cool, like looking at it. However, the final zone of Soto looks like you're standing in the middle of an ash cloud from a nearby volcano. It's just like there's gunk in the air and it's hard to see and it's depressing. I very much dislike that zone. So that would be that one. Janthier Wilds is very cozy. Like the first zone doesn't even have a world boss, and that was them trying something new. They hadn't done that in ages. The first zone doesn't even really have a true map meta. But you go through there's giant waterfalls. There's like some towns that are built into the side of cliffs, so there's like a nice view no matter where you are. You can see for miles because of all the elevation differences. There's rivers with like, salmon going through them and stuff like that. Janthier, the first zone of Janthier, very, very pretty. That's how they designed it. The second zone looks kind of like a catastrophe because the villain is stomping all over it.
Okay. Then what would you tell freshly hit level 80? What would you tell a wallet player to go and do? So wallet players care about econ, grinding gold, a lot of the trading post stuff, swapping out gear, building themselves into some unstoppable mess just because they have the most gold. Keeping in mind that these players don't get satisfaction out of swiping a credit card, but they do get satisfaction out of like optimizing the economy of a game to the point that they can afford anything.
My first thought when we talk about this is there's a guy, another content creator I know named Guild MM. Guild MM hit the gold cap, so he had to make more accounts. And the reason is that he plays this game as if it's Microsoft Excel. He can just stand at the trading post, buying and selling items over and over and over, and he's fine with that. That's fun for him. And just sit there making money for hours. And
so he's an Eve player.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy. That's how he plays the game. He's actually got a Discord called the Overflow Trading Community, and Overflow is just tons of people that are basically, it's like a stock market in there. They're all just buying and selling stuff constantly, and a lot of them are very, very rich compared to the average player. Like, I'm rich compared to the average player. They make me look like a peasant, okay? Like, they're in a whole nother set of zeros. So I think of them. So, I mean, if they really want to do that, if they want to get rich in game, I would tell them, I would introduce them to that community and say, here's some like-minded individuals you might have fun with. I might also show them, like, there was one video I made called My Daily Routine, how I stay quote-unquote rich in 10 minutes a day. Those are the first things that come to mind when you describe this player.
So you'd send them off to find guides, basically.
Well, I would link them a guide I already have. I could just give them the URL.
That's so clever.
Yeah.
And that's so sneaky. Well played.
And then the thing is,
just go look at my content.
oh my god,
I've got everything you need.
here's the thing. In PvP, if you PvP over and over and over, and you're in ranked, and you get to the max treasure, you might have seen when you did PvP, there's like a copper chest and a silver chest, and you get these little treasure boxes, right? When you get to the last one, and the last one just starts repeating, it's 20 gold every time, all right? So you can get a lot of money just PvPing, because you're not spending any. You're just going in there and playing and playing and playing. You're not spending any money. Your money's just going up. So you can get a lot of money doing that. You can get money grinding World v World. You can get money doing fractals. You can get money doing raids. You can get money doing strikes. You can get money just standing in front of the auction house and doing an Excel spreadsheet. Like, there is really no way in this game you can't make cash. It's just, how do you like to do it?
Which is the best way.
Right.
Which is the best way.
I'm
ignore enjoyment. These people are sick.
Swiping your mom's credit card is the fastest.
Okay, aside from that, let's take out the pay-to-win element.
Uh-huh.
Which way playing the game would get them the most gold in the least amount of time?
Okay.
That's what these guys care about.
I do have an answer for you. It'll take a minute to get there. Okay. Raids. Okay. Let's say you already know the boss fights, right? So, because only the first time you go do you have to learn the boss fights. After that, you're just repeating what you know. When you go to raids, assuming you already know it and you're just going through it, you do get like a couple of gold for every boss kill. So if you just go in there and you're like, one shot, you're making really good money, but you can only do that once a week because raids reset every week, okay? So raids, very profitable for a few hours each week, and you can't like farm it beyond that, all right? Fractals, extremely profitable, but you can only do the daily fractals, which are the big money ones, once a day. So again, maybe you're with a pro group, you spend an hour a day doing fractals, but you can't really do beyond that. My daily routine that I have promoted involves basically a bunch of activities I found that just doing them all back to back to back takes me like 12 minutes. All of them give me a lot of money for a few seconds of work, but I can only do them once a day. So I have a checklist and I do it each day. Now, some people hate that style of play. I just chat with my community, on Twitch and YouTube while I'm doing it, and it like
dream of privilege. Come on, don't feed me that. You get gold in the mail. Come on.
I do not. Anything, real talk, anything I get in the mail, because dude, I've beaten the game. I don't need anything else. There's nothing else I need. Anything That's I get true. That I don't need, I put into what we call the giveaway vault, which is just this. I'm pulling it up right now. This is all just giveaway stuff, and I pull some things out of here and use it for giveaways. There's really nothing else I need.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
That's way too much stuff for one person. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
That's just giveaway stuff. Yeah. So like, when you were wrestling with your microphone during the first 15 minutes of the stream, I did my whole routine while like just on autopilot and made it like 20, 30 gold while I was listening to you. Just yell at your mic.
Okay. Thank you for bruising my ego just that little bit more. You managed to finish all of that while I screwed up.
You're quite welcome. So my point is that it's not as if it's not that there is a best way to do it, but it's what method do you choose to use. If your goal is I want to turn on Netflix on the other monitor and do something brainless for 8 hours because I'm a psychopath and earn money for 8 hours straight, okay, well that's not raids or fractals or my method because those all have cooldowns. That would be like going to the Silver Waste and joining a meta train and just doing that meta over and over and over and over and over until you decide you're done. Because there is no cap to that. So essentially, I would ask them, like, what parameters am I working with here? And then I can recommend you accordingly.
All right. So then on to the ego players. The beep-boop players. The things that you do that make you feel superior to others. These are things like, obviously, PvP, outperforming others in raids. These are usually the guys where if you hop into a raid at some point, you say, hi, I'm new, you get kicked from the group almost immediately. Right, because they just know so much better than everyone else.
Try-hard players aren't always a-holes, but continue.
I know, but I'm trying to like give the most.
There is an overlap on the Venn diagram, yes.
A small one, but yeah. Where would you tell the beep-boop players to go once they've hit level 80?
First off, I would come up with a different name for them. Okay, if the Dingle Dangle players are PvE, Snowcrows. The Snowcrows website, I would say here are hold on a sec, because you can see my stream right now. All right,
yeah,
so
I've seen that link. I'm not going to give my opinion on that because it'll get you in trouble.
No, it's fine. So it's fine. So like benchmarks is basically the best nerd for each class getting the highest damage possible. This is completely unachievable in any real scenario in the game. But this is a tool to compare them. So, I mean, honestly, if you look at this, like 45k, 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 you could just be like, okay, all these are about the same. You know, mentally, you could just do that. Now, on a real fight, you're not going to pull 45k. But on a real fight, two people of equal skill, the Power Tempest should do more than the Power Soul Beast by a hair. You can use it for those reasons. So and I try to make that clear. Huh?
Sorry, it's just these numbers are super close together.
Yeah, well,
it's almost negligible.
Yeah. So anyway, so that the benchmark thing is useful. Also, you can go here and I can be like, all right, I want to learn to play power. This is the thing I've been messing around with lately. There's this right here. Now, these build guides, there's excellent build guides on other sites as well. Guild Gen is one I've promoted before. Hard Stuck, which is Mighty Teapot's community, has build guides as well. Snow Crows, which we're already talking about. Meta Battle, there's 4 websites off the top of my head that have build guides. This website also has the benchmark, so that's why I'm bringing that up. But I would be like, look, if you just want to go big number as hard as you can, there's this. Also, the Snow Crows Discord has a separate channel for each class. So you can go join their Discord, join the Ranger channel, and be like, hey guys, I'm trying to do this. I'm doing something wrong. Can anyone help? And some of them will be helpful. Not all of them, but that's how it is with the Dingle Dangle players. If they're trying to be really big in PvP, that's a bit different. There was a community in the past I would have recommended, but the guy who was managing it basically, retired from the game, and he'd been playing it like 10 years. So it's like, okay, whatever. But it's not up to date anymore. So I do not know.
It's always sad when someone gets a life.
Yeah, I do not know of a community that is like the PvP version of Snow Crows. I know plenty of websites with PvP builds. Basically, every website I just listed to you a second ago, except Snow Crows, also has PvP builds on their websites. But I don't know of like a Discord community to join and and that kind of thing. I will say.
Okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
It's not your specialty. None of that's your specialty. Is PvP? It seems to be. I don't know. Maybe this is just a first opinion because I haven't been through all of your content, just about 50% of it. It seems like PvP is something, generally speaking, avoided by the widest amount of players. So it's like very niche.
So just to show you, I'm gonna pull it up on screen. If you'll show this to your audience here, I have 5,737 games of PvP played over the last 10 years. I have over the past really enjoyed PvP. Okay, there's times where I only did that for weeks on end. All right. However, I also at the same time will say that I think the current meta of PvP is one of the worst ones Guild Wars 2 has ever had in 10 years. Now, that's my opinion, but as you experienced, it's gotten very glass cannon-y. It's like Counter-Strike in there. You round a corner and someone just pops you and you don't even know what it was. All right? It wasn't always like that, okay? Over the last 10 years, that's a rather recent thing. I hope that they revisit that at some point, but over the life of this game, I have loved this game mode. I don't play it much anymore because it's gotten to glass cannon.
Okay, so I've kind of experienced that firsthand. A dead eye appears and I disappear. And that's happened 10 times out of 10. I don't think I've walked 5 steps in combat without dying. It's a horrifying experience, and I can see why there are going to be a very small percentage of people who would jump into PvP and just immediately fall in love. But most people are going to look at it and go, "No, not for me."
Yeah,
I get that.
I absolutely love the combat system in this game to the point where I can be doing almost anything like PvP or World v World or Strikes or Fractals or whatever, and I'm having fun because my character is fun. The combat system is fun to me. However, if I like you experienced, if I go into PvP and I just keep getting popped like a balloon, and I'm not one of the best players in the game. Like if you say I'm in the top 5%. There's a huge difference between me and the top 1%. They're the ones that can just one-shot me as I round a corner. Even if if I go in there, I would say I'm gold 3 on a good day. I've gotten to plat 1 a couple times, but there's other people that are plat 5, and I can't do anything to them at all.
Okay, that's unsurprising. There's just I've talked about this before, where it feels like in Guild Wars 2 PvP, it's almost like you start learning, and then there's just this giant chasm that you reach between the people who are really good and where you are, and you need to spend like months trying to catch up to them, or trying to figure out like meta builds and gain enough knowledge so that you know what they're playing against you before you stand a chance at all.
Yeah, and honestly, I think probably some of the most enjoyable PvP right now would probably be if you could get into like a bronze or silver game against other people that are bronze and silver, you're probably going to have a great time. You know, because people aren't popping each other with those crazy builds that are just optimized to the extreme. But if you end up with one of those in the game, they're running around like God, just one-shotting everybody. And that's kind of where the issue lies.
Yeah, it's devastating. Okay, so then last kind of player is the watch player, right? It's the guy who's got 10 minutes in his life to spare. He works at NASA. All 5 of his girlfriends are pregnant right now and asking for fried chicken. He's got to run to 4 different KFCs because each of them want a different one from a different place. And he knows he's getting 20 minutes to play a week. What is the best way someone like that can use their time?
Okay, if I'm talking to this individual, I would ask them what type of game mode they enjoy. Yeah. Like, do they enjoy PvP? Do they enjoy fractals, strikes, raids? Have they not tried any of these things? Because what do they want to do? Like, is there?
Okay, so let's throw PvP out the window.
Sure.
Because you can't pause an MMO, as my mom and everyone else's 20 years ago didn't understand. So that's out the window.
Like fractals are 5-man content. There are people that pug them. They're quite enjoyable, in my opinion, and they are stupidly profitable. So that's a lot of bang for your buck. And joining a fractal group, now you said 20 minutes, but you know, joining a group that is doing all the fractal dailies, like, you know, because there'll be like 3 that are the dailies, and joining a group that does all of them might be like an hour, you know, shorter if you're like in some speedrunning group. And that's a lot of progression for your account. Both you know, the loot that you can get ascendant items in there, you get gold, stuff like that. That's all really good. If you know, raids are a once a week activity, so even if you only have a set amount of time each week, if you've got a community that you've met, you could possibly do raids each week if you wish to do that. If you just want to be a loner and you want to do your own thing and you don't want to do anything group related, then, as I recommended in that video you recently watched, story and world comp. Now, some people might not like the story. They might not like... I mean, basically any activity in the game, there's going to be people that don't like it. So I don't really know what this individual enjoys. But I would kind of try to...
Okay, so essentially, whatever. I'm trying to think of the people who aren't going to jump into content that essentially means they're locked in for a period of time where they can't just hit the escape button and leave.
Okay, so all right, fine. So no fractals, no strikes, no PvP, no raids. World v World would still be on the table because no one cares if you just suddenly vanish if you're in World v World. You could just jump in there and run around and just cause chaos. Yeah. You can either run around on your own, or you could just join a big blob of people and run around and catapult what keeps and stuff like that. World v World is something that would be enjoyable. And then open world anything. So open world, the map comp, or your own personal story, or world bosses, you know, because you could just check out the event timers webpage and see like what world bosses are getting killed right now and go join any of those. No one cares if you just suddenly leave because you're one of like 50 people there.
Okay, that's fantastic. So that gives me some idea, at least, of the different kind of players and what they would enjoy in the game. Right? That clears up a lot of things. So I need to ask a question, because it keeps on being spoken about, but I don't actually know percentage-wise, or at least perceived percentage-wise, how much of the end game of Guild Wars 2 is instanced content versus content that's actually a part of the world and a component of the world that you're always interacting with, where you're not going to be hitting some portal, going into a loading screen, and disappearing.
Okay. Can I use the latest expansion as an example on my stream?
Go for it.
Okay. So the latest expansion is Janther. Janther added 2 zones, which are here and just north of Lion's Arch, and this big zone up here.
Okay.
All right. Now, they tried something new with Janther. They tried making a chunk of instance content that is used for the story also used to fight a raid version of the same story boss. So there's this little map over here. This map is an instance, okay? So all this is open world. The Janther Sentry area is open world, and Lowland Shores is open world. In Lowland Shore, there's an entrance to a convergence of Mount Balrior. That is an instanced version that can have up to 50 people, and it is puggable. It happens automatically, like every 2 hours. But if you happen to be in a group of 50 people, which, is something that sometimes I'll just be like, I feel like doing a convergence. Who wants to join me? And I'll just make a public one, and then people from chat can flood in. Then we'll just go in and do it anytime we want. Also, there is a raid version of Mount Balrior that is designed for 10 man and has better loot. And then the story has a version of it. Now, this is the first expansion where they've tried doing the same boss in like 3 different game modes, just kind of to see how it's going to work. We'll see if they keep doing that. But essentially, this expansion so far is 2 huge outdoor zones and then 1 smaller zone that is used for the instance content. That's that. So,
So just based on, you made a comment somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, but you made a comment saying that the Guild Wars 2 population's been doing pretty decently in recent years, compared to other older MMOs. Like they've been seeing increases in numbers with expansions, as opposed to a lot of them where they're dropping off. So would you say that this experiment that they're trying out is working out in their favor?
So based on what
So
I
far, at
know,
least.
and I want to make a very big distinction between what I know and what I'm guessing, right? So I know that after, I believe it was End of Dragons, which at this point was almost 2 years ago, they and End of Dragons was like many years after Path of Fire. There was many years where we got no expansions. So then they suddenly were like, okay, we're making another one, and we're like, oh shoot, heck yeah, we thought that y'all were done, And they released End of Dragons, and they said that they broke their all-time, like, what is the word? They broke their all-time maximum amount of players that was a record they had set in Path of Fire. They broke it for the first time since then with the release of EOD. So that meant concurrent, yeah. They had so many people come back and so many people jump into the game for the first time that they broke their own records, which was very impressive for a game that was like 8 years old at that point.
Yeah.
They have not reported their numbers since then. It is possible in the last 2 years that it has gone down or it has gone up. But what I just told you is what I know. I do know, like, a lot of people will use me as an example, like, oh, Mug, you're playing the game less, it's a dead game. And it's like, no, I'm playing the game less because I've played 9,000 hours of it. I enjoy it. I still play it every week, but I was playing it 7 days a week for like 3 years, and I kind of burned through everything. But I'd still support the game. But yeah, I don't know their exact numbers. They have, to my knowledge, they've never been a company that just has, where they like release the yearly stats, It's just like every couple years they might say them. And the last time they said them was after EOD. And at that time, it was record breaking and they were very loud and proud about it.
Okay. So, I mean, that's not too long ago. That's closer to now than when the game launched. So that can't be that bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did have a bunch of other questions. No, I'm more realizing most of them are kind of irrelevant more than anything else, right? Because I think the next component of this is going to be more valuable to look at. But I think if you had to prioritize something for a new player to chase, someone came up to you and they said, there's so much stuff, it's all over the place, I'm getting really confused, I'm having a stroke, my epilepsy's kicking in. I've chosen one of 4 things to chase after right now. Which one of them should I focus on primarily and let everything else fall by the wayside? And I'll kind of let it happen naturally over time. If they had to pick between masteries, mobility, so like mounts, gliders, all of that stuff, story, which one of those 3, actually? I'm going to eliminate the 4th one because it doesn't actually make that much sense. If they had to pick between focusing primarily on masteries, mobility, or story. Oh, wait, and hero points so that they can get their elites back.
Okay, I would do...
Which one would you say they focus on?
I would say hero points first.
Okay.
Hero points,
Why?
essentially, in my eyes, unlock new ways of playing the game. And some of those ways might drastically increase your enjoyment. To give you an example, I don't like base engineer that much. But an engineer can become a scrapper or a mechanist, and I freaking love those two. But that's only possible with hero points and the associated expansion. But yeah, those are really cheap. That's like the oldest ones. So for me, hero points would be the top thing. Hold on, I should write this down. Repeat what the other options were.
Masteries, mobility, which is essentially like mounts and gliders and stuff, or just focus on the story and go through it like from the living worlds to the the least recent expansion all the way to the newest one.
So masteries, there is a mastery that automatically loots anything that you should be able to loot near you, and I would say prioritize that one And then the rest of them, let them just happen over time, unless you're at one of the rare parts of the story that forces you to get a mastery to continue. There's a couple of them in Heart of Thorns, and there's a couple of them later on down the line where it's like you have to get this mastery point to access the next area.
No, don't tell me they level gated. Oh no. Ah,
Quick tip
there's
for
more
you.
level gating.
Quick tip for you. Use like XP boosters if you've got any just like sitting around in your bank or something if you get to one of those.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, at this point,
so
it might twist my arm enough that I start using the pay to win.
But real talk, no, I don't mean pay to win. Like you just get boosters for doing different activities. If you got any stockpiled, that's when you burn them. Anyway, like 95% of masteries, what I would say is just let it happen over time. Let the bar fill up. When it happens, whatever. But it's really nice quality of life having auto loot. Just vacuuming up all the loot that you walk past. That's pretty good. Let's see. What's the other stuff? Okay, mobility. Heart of Thorns did not have mounts. They were added mounts in Path of Fire. So Path of Fire has quite a bunch of them. Also, it was at End of Dragons gives you another way of getting some of the mounts. So if you go through the story in order, you do Heart of Thorns without mounts, which is not like rough or scary or anything, but it's more challenging because Heart of Thorns is a 3-dimensional environment. I told you that place has floors, right? It is a jungle that rose up and impaled airships, and you're going through the remains of that battlefield. It is awesome looking, very difficult to traverse. Okay? But the Skyscale is the hardest mount in the game to get. It takes the most amount of time. You can't just like run over and do 5 minutes of Path of Fire and then come back to Heart of Thorns. Like, that's not how it works. You do get the Raptor a few minutes into Path of Fire. Janther Wilds gives you the Warclaw if you don't already have it, like 30 minutes in, and then you could come back and do other things. But mobility, it's not easy to just go get mobility done and come back. I would say for many classes, mobility, it's easier to get it by class stuff. Like to give you an example, I'm on my Ranger right now. I've got a skill called Signet of the Hunt. It gives 25% increased movement speed while it's on my bar. If I was playing on an account that did not have mounts, I would just have this on my bar all the time. It's 25% more movement speed permanently. Many classes have something like that. Not all, but many do. And I would just say, run the mobility skills. Use the mobility skill, use a boon that gives you swiftness. That's 33% increased run speed. You don't have to have the mount to enjoy the game. You can get to that later. And it's not a quick process to just go get the mounts and then come back to whatever you were doing. Like, depending on the mount, that's a very long process. So mobility, I would rank pretty low. I would rank hero points pretty high because I personally find the most enjoyment in finding new ways to play my character, but not everyone may agree with me. So that leaves masteries and story. So I would say masteries down near mobility and story up here. So it'd be probably like this for me, how I have it on the screen. Okay. And it's a big gap between those, in my opinion.
All right. So I'm kind of glad you did mobility last, because now I can ask you something that I've seen has been very upsetting to very many Guild Wars 2 veterans in a lot of my comments. And I think I'm just going to quote, I'm going to give you a generalized quote of what I've heard.
Okay.
Right. You new players don't know how hard it is to get the Skyscale the right way. Back in Nam, when I had my legs blown off and I had to crawl to the keyboard.
Uphill both ways.
To understand how to fly. Now you just get it easy from Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime? No. Okay. Real talk.
Why are people like that?
The Skyscale, right? When it came out,
Skyscale.
When it came out, there was a lot of time gates, okay? Like, there would be a thing like, spend some time bonding with your baby Skyscale. Like, it grew through stages. And you would, like, play a mini game with it, and then the mini game would have a 6-hour cooldown. And you would have to mini game with it, like, 4 times to continue. So that might be, like, twice on Monday and twice on Tuesday, then you can continue. Right? There were multiple...
They put a cooldown on child abuse.
Oh my god. There were multiple time gates for the original Skyscale. Now, they have removed them all or made them like minutes instead of days. Okay? So getting a Skyscale, let's say the Path of Fire method, is still to this day, let's say you've got the materials to do the stuff that asks you to do. it's probably like on and off, like gaming for a week, you know? Like each evening, you do it for a little bit, you get it maybe within a week, okay? The second method of getting the Skyscale is from Secrets of the Obscure, or SOTO. SOTO, if you have all the materials and you've got, the way I usually explain it is if you've got a Saturday where you can just sit down and game, you can get it done in a day. But we're talking like a day-long gaming session, all right? So it is much shorter to get it the SOTO method than it is the Path of Fire method. However, they made separate masteries for the two of them. So long term, if you're going to play the game for a long time, you would do both methods, even though whichever one you don't do second, isn't going to give you a Skyscale because you've already got it. It's going to give you more things it can do, because the Skyscale masteries are things like it can spit fireballs, it can grab onto walls and kick off of them and launch higher up into the air, it has more stamina, you can jump off of it in mid-flight, things like that, and you want to eventually get all those. It's not an urgent thing, but eventually.
It's like, okay, yeah, so you can kind of leave the long method in like you get there when you get there kind of thing.
Yeah. But
that's
yeah, there's this whole thing. Well, I don't need to go into it, but yeah, it's a longer process to do it. The Path of Fire method, which is the OG method, which was already shortened considerably because they removed all those time gates I told you about, which is probably what your Vietnam veterans were complaining about. And now there's the SOTO method, which is even shorter. So typically, if people are like, "Hey, Muck, I've got all the expansions, I want to get the Skyscale, what do?" I usually tell them just do it the SOTO method because then you'll get it fastest, and then do the Path of Fire one when you get time.
Okay. So then when it comes to the story, when it comes to the game itself, right? Are there any, do you have a priority list? Let's neglect like story coherence and all of that. You have a priority list of which expansions you tell someone to do first. You tell them to skip the living worlds or not.
Oh boy. Okay, so I kind of need to have this in front of me to be able to like kind of visualize this, right? So there's core, Heart of Thorns, there's like Living World season.
Stop styling on me. Just press H in game and pull up the. Pull up the.
Well, I wanted to write next to it. Oh my god, so whiny. All right, hang on. All right.
So bad,
so there's these right here. Okay.
Nothing.
All right. In terms of what it adds to your account, Living World season 1, it's just story. Living World season 2, it's story, and there's also I think an ascended backpack you can get if you do a thing there, and a converter, which is an item that will eat bloodstone dust once a day and poop out a bag of random items. So it's a good way of getting rid of bloodstone dust if you find your account flooded with it. Heart of Thorns gives you gliding. Now, many expansions after Hot give gliding also, but it gives you gliding, which is great. And then also access to new elite specializations like the Scrapper, which I love. Living World Season 3 does add new maps to the game. I think the biggest amazing thing in Living World Season 3 is there's a merchant that sells ascended rings, amulets, and rebreathers. And getting access to that merchant is quite nice, because you can just get that stuff on future characters of yours quite easily. Path of Fire is the first expansion to add mounts, which means if you have Path of Fire, it will give you access to most of the mounts in the game, with a few exceptions, and also more elite specs, more ways to play the game, Scourge, Firebrand, etc. Living World Season 4 is required for that same Skyscale. To make the Skyscale, because Living World Season 4 was an addition to the Path of Fire story. These are very closely interwoven. So you need both Path of Fire and Season 4 to do the OG Skyscale method. Also, I will tell you, in terms of story, Path of Fire and Living World Season 4 is my favorite part of the entire game. There's the Joko guy.
Those two are mandatory.
You heard about Joko, and then you felt kind of, you're like, that was it when you met him. Joko is basically one of the main characters of Living World Season 4. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on there. And like Path of Fire has Balthazar. Living World Season 4 has 2 antagonists, which is Joko, the Lich King, and also Kraukatorek, which is one of the Elder Dragons. And my favorite part of the game is right there. Icebird Saga had... that's when they added strike missions, which are possibly my favorite game mode in the game at this time. Strike missions are 10-man, and it's just go in, kill boss, get out. It's like a raid with no trash mobs. You just go in, kill the thing, get out. So like if you join a group and you might just do like 7 strikes in a row. They give big loot one time each day. So you can join a group, just do all the strikes, and then leave the group, or just do some of them, whatever. End of Dragons had more elite specs again, and offers what was the mount? The Siege Turtle. The Siege Turtle. Honestly, the Siege Turtle, I hardly get any use out of that thing. Your gameplay would be completely fine. It's a passenger mount, which If you're trying to help a low-level friend to get to some area, it's great. Otherwise, it's whatever.
It's me.
Also, they added
It's me.
fishing, and skiffs, which is the boat. And the boat is just a slower version of the skimmer mount. However, the boat, you can have like 5 people on it, and they can all be fishing. So if you like to do fishing parties, it's awesome. If you don't, and you're like me, it's never used. Soto had the second way of getting the Skyscale. Also, Soto, despite the fact that I told you I hated some of the Soto maps, I love what they added to the game in Soto. They added Weapon Master Specialization, which allows you to use your different elite specs weapons on the other elite specs. So like Druid gives Ranger a staff. If I have Weapon Master training, I can use that Druid staff while I'm playing a Soul Beast or an Untamed. And it opens up new build options that didn't exist before. Additionally, Soto had expanded weapon proficiencies, which is simply every class got another set of weapons. So Ranger, again, got maces. So Ranger got access to maces, and then non-Soul Beast got dagger, non-Untamed got hammer, and non-Druids got staff. So all of those new build options from those weapons were born because of Soto. So there was a lot of stuff there. And then Janthier, if you don't have the Warclaw, you get the Warclaw like 30 minutes into Janthier. Also, the player housing system for people who care about that is in Janthier. And they gave the Warclaw a huge like makeover. It's a lot better now after the Janthier Wilds update. And, oh yeah, and spears. Every single class got access to spears in Janthier, which, again, offered new build options.
So it sounds like Secrets of the Obscure actually has like a ton of stuff in it.
A ton. The expanded weapon proficiency plus the weapon master training, the 2 weapon things, opened up a ton of build things that didn't exist before. For example, if you have Soto, your Untamed, which is previously purely a DPS, can become a main healer. But if you don't have Soto, you can't, because they don't have access to the Druid weapons. So there's just some builds that came into existence because of that expansion. But if you don't like playing those builds, it doesn't matter.
And how would you rate the spear?
The spear? It very much depends on the class you're playing. For example, up until last Tuesday, I would tell you the Ranger Spear sucks at everything. But although we're over 3 months into Janthier right now, they just did a big buff to the PvE numbers for the Ranger Spear, and now it's viable. Now it's on par with the other weapons, which is good. Now it's an option. Mesmer has been loving their spear since day 1. Their spear has been cracked. It's been absolutely amazing. Guardian, I think they've been loving their spear skills in World v World. Like when you're fighting blobs of enemies that are moving around all the time, theirs was just really good at that. Engineer Spear was just a Condi weapon. Just imagine it like kind of like a taser on a stick. It's like an electric spear for them. And so it just does lots of like burns and bleeds when they attack. So it's very simple, but it was a good Condi weapon. So yeah, the short answer is it just depends on the class. Some loved it, some hated it. They've been doing some adjustments.
Okay. That's perfect. That basically lays out everything else. So I don't want to waste too much. I wanted to know if you'd be willing to do something in game, so that I can understand where you're coming from, Guru. Right? So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine this situation.
Okay.
It's 2025. They just hit level 80. Fortunately for them, they live in a city with a working suicide hotline. And after experiencing the Zytad fight, they were convinced to not do it. And more than that, it turned out that the person on the other side of the line was a Guild Wars 2 player and was nice enough to say to them, don't worry, it gets better. Not all the way better, but a little bit better. This person sits down at their PC thinking, all right, I'll give it a second try. This won't be like my second marriage. I will make this work. I happen to be a friend with you, and they've told you their woes. What is the thing that, without telling them anything, what would you make them go and experience out in the world? What is the thing where you're like, okay, don't worry, I got you. I'm just about to make this all better. By the time I'm done here, I'm going to take you through one thing as a new level 80 player. What can I make you? I'm going to make you experience this thing, and it's going to make all the bad thoughts go away. What is that thing? And can you take me through it in game?
My first thought is truly Living World Season 4. The writing, the build up, the musical, the tragedy, you're getting through it in Living World Season 4 was amazing. I can distinctly remember 3 moments that I was playing that where I had that feeling where like the hair on the back of my neck stood up. Because I was just like, oh my God. Like there was just a few moments where it was just absolutely crazy. And if you want, I could tell you about them. But if you want to experience it for yourself, you know, I won't.
I'm more thinking like a singular piece of instanced content.
Okay, so like I've just got them for like an hour. Are you still there, Rose?
Say something. I want to see that the stream can hear you.
Blah 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 blah.
Okay, fantastic. They can hear you.
Okay.
So, if you were to take someone through a singular piece of instanced content, right? Something that they're like, wow, okay, this game has something to it that I'm gonna keep playing. What would that be? And could you take me there now?
I mean, this. Okay.
I have invited you to a group.
Well, I mean, when I think instance content, I think group stuff like 5-man, 10-man, 50-man. You want me to take you somewhere like just us?
Anything, if it involves other people, instance content, anything at all. Like nothing's off the table. Like a singular piece of like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not the story. It's not something that takes a week. It's something that'll take like 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe it's a fractal, for instance.
Take him to Chalice of Tears.
Maybe it's a raid. I don't know.
Okay. I've got a few things coming to my mind right now. All right.
Okay.
I could take you to some pretty cool stuff to just show you, but we couldn't kill the bosses just to be like, look at this, isn't it neat?
That is perfectly fine. That works out perfectly because
I could grab 48 people from chat and I could take you to some stuff that requires 50 people, but it's super easy and has some pretty epic moments.
Either or. Because the way I'm looking at this is I'm trying to think of like a brand new player and they just want to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
Whether that's just visual. No, I'm not going to Chalice of Tears.
No, not Chalice of Tears. Not Chalice of Tears. All right. Can I show you one thing?
Less suicidal thoughts, not more.
Can I show you one thing that would take just like a minute and then take you to another thing after?
That's perfectly fine. I'm just thinking about this from like how a new player would want to see like, okay, damn, there's something here.
I see you're on a character named Embed McMuckistan.
Yeah, my community decided on that name.
Does
love my pet's name.
Mr. Embed have access to Lion's Arch yet?
I believe I'm given the waypoints. Am I not? Or do I have that wrong? I'm by Divinity's Reach. So
yeah, move your map up and to the right a little bit. It's to the right of Divinity's Reach. If you zoom out a little bit and then move to the right, there's my blue dot.
Damn, I don't think
might be light green for you. Oh my gosh.
There it is. No, I don't. But there should be a portal in thingy.
Right there. That's where I'm at.
Divinity's Reach.
That's Lion's Arch. Yeah. Okay, do you want to just swap to your character that has the waypoints?
Okay. I'll just switch. Damn. Okay.
I know you really wanted me to meet Mr. Embed.
Yes. I thought you'd enjoy my pet's name. It's Nike, son of Muckluck. Also, in the meantime, while I'm actually loading up the character that has some waypoints.
No, that's not true because I love my son.
Yeah, he doesn't love Nike. He was given to an orphanage at a young age. That's why he turned out the way he did. We are in a party, apparently. Let me just turn your audio up because I can't hear anything you're saying for some reason.
I'm still here. I wasn't talking.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can we see Rose's cam? No, he turned his camera off a while ago when he broke his audio.
Yeah, but I broke everything.
It's fine. We can still hear you.
Lion's Arch. I always get confused with this map. Everything's just a varied shade of brown.
There's me. All right, so just pick a waypoint
Being in the Middle East.
Yeah, just go there. All right, so you do not have... all right, so I was in a place called the Aerodrome, which you apparently... Oh, your camera just came back up. You apparently don't have the Aerodrome waypoint. So once you appear...
I don't think I do. Yeah.
Run toward me. If you look on your mini-map, I'm just west of you.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so run toward me. All right.
Okay,
and
that's
then
tricks.
Run into one of these portals here. Actually, wait, that's Special Forces training area. Hold on. Is it this one over here? It's this one. There we go. Huh, I just learned something new. I didn't know there was a Special Forces loading screen from out there. The Special Forces room is where people test builds. It's got like the DPS golems and stuff.
Okay.
All right, so in this room, this is the Aerodrome. This is basically the raids prep room. So you notice on the south wall, and you can see them on the minimap, there's tons of different portals, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple here that we'll just like peek into for a second. Is this the Hall of Chains? That's the, yes, that is. All right, so you said just to show you some cool stuff, right? So I just made a squad.
Yeah.
Can you join the squad? You have a
Okay.
thing? Okay, so we're just gonna run into, why is this not working? Hold on a second.
Oh, that's
I
a
need to-
very neat UI for.
There we
for
go.
a
Okay,
squad.
walk into the portal now, or you should get a, you might possibly get a pop-up. Click on Hall of Chains.
All right, there we go.
Okay, we want you to load in. All right, welcome to Hell. This is the underworld, and this is where you fight some bosses. And the final boss of this is called Doom. And the Satan of Guild Wars 2 was actually a guy named Grenth. Doom usurped him and stole his job, and is barely hanging on to control of it because it's not really something he should be doing. And this is the beginning of the raid wing, and at the end of it, you fight Doom,
Oh,
one of the toughest bosses in the game. And this is just the first fight. That thing in the middle, named the Soulless Horror, is actually the body of a lady who is helping you try to get through this. Her spirit was ejected from her body, and you have to kill her old mortal form, and it is just going psycho with necromantic power.
Damn,
The second
okay.
boss here, if you
looks cool as
look
hell.
into the distance behind all those mobs, there's what looks like almost
Yeah.
a road going up into the sky. Can you see that?
yeah, I see that.
That is
yeah.
the River of Souls. Kind of like the River Styx, but Guild Wars 2's version of it. Then second
Okay.
fight is battling up that while waves of spirits are coming down it. And so you're having, and also, this place hurts because you're alive. So while you're fighting up the River of Souls, you have to be able to, like, stick with your healers and stuff because you're just getting hammered by
damn.
spirits as you go up it. The third fight is actually many different mini bosses called the Statues of Grenth. And one of them is about eyes, one of them is about gluttony, and one of them is about ice, and they each have like a different aspect. And you have to go around and take them all down, and they each have their own rules. Like the eye can only be hurt if there's light in its eye. And people are actually, like, some people are assigned to picking up lights and throwing them at the eyeball while others are doing damage. And if anybody doesn't do their job, it goes invulnerable again, and it tries to run away. The gluttony thing will pick people up and straight up try to eat them. And it will, like, eject people's souls from their body and try to, like, inhale the souls like an evil Pac-Man. The final boss, of course, is Doom. Big Daddy Doom. Big Daddy D, some people call him.
Wait, isn't Doom the one who would murder you in Guild Wars 1?
Correct. Occasionally, game masters would summon a graphic of Doom to come out of the ground and reap hackers with a scythe and kill them, and it would ban their account. And his scythe, if I can, oh wow, like 3 people joined our squad. I meant to set it to private. Just to show you something here. Now, as you probably already know, all like weapon staves that are legendary in the game have the same stats, right? And
Yeah.
But you can get some very neat skins only by doing certain activities. That item I just linked in chat, if you'll click on where it says Oblivion, and then put it in the dressing room on your character,
that's cool.
that
Okay.
is Doom's scythe.
That's awesome.
Hit the checkbox for wielded and look at it in your hand, and look at the green on the top of it. Oh man, you might be
That's
too
awesome.
tall.
How do I zoom out?
In that little window, I'm not sure if you can, but you can click like weapon
damn.
only. The other
Okay.
checkboxes at the bottom.
That's awesome.
So if you see someone with this, they basically fought Satan and won. Like, there's no
Nice.
other way to get this. Okay? So, like, that is a prestige item. Now, stat-wise, it's just a staff. But it shows off, like, hey, look what I did, right?
That's awesome.
All right,
It's
next up.
definitely a weapon I would want if I didn't know who my real dad was.
Ha! Near the minimap, click on Leave Instance. It's the thing right above your minimap, near the bottom right.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm going to show you another one that I think is really cool. And I'm going to wait for you to zone out here. Oh gosh, it's too many people joined the game. Okay, there you are. All right. Are you already aware of the Mystic Forge that's in most of the towns?
I've heard about it. I've heard people yell at me about it. I have completely ignored it because I've been like, how would a new player deal with this? And then
That's
just
fine.
run for the story.
Okay, know this. It is a crafting station. Lore-wise, there's a djinn that lives in there. So it's not
Okay.
that you throw things in and then they get blacksmithed together into something. It's you're making a trade. It's Jin, I offer you this, please give me that. Okay? But it's essentially a crafting station. Now, what happens to all of the millions of items we've thrown in there? That is the next question. You should get a pop-up asking you if you want to enter the Mythrite Gambit.
I love the loading screens. I just love the way they look. Hey, what the... Okay, am I gonna die?
No.
That's how I die.
You are now
awesome.
inside the Mystic Forge. Look around.
That's so cool. Okay. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Lore-wise, this is all the shit we've been throwing in for 10 years. And you can look up and see more coming down.
This is a garbage pile.
Garbage to the Jinn, but not to us. And the first boss in here, you know what? Let's go forward a bit. We're just going to trigger him to spawn. If he...
okay.
Do they have to talk? We might have to wait for them to finish talking. Did Muck just curse? Yeah, this guy's a bad influence. Okay. I'm trying to just... Yeah, I'll do shields. We are not fighting the thing. Shut up. I'm just...
Okay, so, wait. So this guy with the bandages, I'm assuming he's the Jinn, the burn victim here.
The big floaty guy with 4 arms is a Jinn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, in a moment, the enemy of this place that doesn't like us is going to merge a ton of that stuff together and is going to make a creature called the Conjured Amalgamate. You've heard of fire elementals and water elementals and lava elementals. How about a treasure elemental? And this is one of those classic bosses that has basically multiple hit point bars. Like, you can blast his arms off and he has to reform them over time. Is it better to keep going for the head or aim for the arms first? Things like that. Just trying to see... Okay, so over there, the lamp just opened. And there's another guy. All right, there he goes.
Good question.
There he goes.
Is this where people get the golden treasure pile thing from?
Actually, I don't think that's actually from here. But it does match the look. But that's the Conjured Amalgamate, who's the first raid boss in this area. Oh, wait, chat's telling me I'm wrong, and they say the answer is yes, so I guess I just forgot. All right. So this was the second thing I thought of that would take you seconds to show you that I just think is really neat. This whole raid is inside the Mystic Forge in Lion's Arch.
So, like, if I jump off here, it doesn't take me into the... Okay, no. And I'm just... Okay, never mind.
All right. The next thing, if you'll hit leave instance, now we're actually going to go commit violence. All right. But I need to know, do you have access to Eye of the North? Should.
Eye of the North. I think I do. I think I've ended up there a few times when I was off stream.
So let me try this. Hold on. I'm going to try something. All right. I just put the Eye of the North
butthole in the top right corner.
I put it in squad chat. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, never mind. You found it automatically. Yeah. If you need to. So we are going to go do a fight called Dragonstorm. Now, Dragonstorm, you could say, was the predecessor to what are now called convergences. It is 50-man content, and it happens automatically every 2 hours. If you'll come to look for me in the town, there is a NPC right here. I put a target marker on his head.
Blue dots. Okay, there we go.
So this guy every 2 hours will be like, "Hey, who wants to join the battle?" And you could just talk to him and say me, and he teleports you there. However, if you're in a group that has enough people, you can do that at any time. So, really quickly here, I am putting a squad join command in all of our chats. And if anybody wants to join, just copy paste that squad join into your game. We are on the EU servers. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to talk to Breck. I'm going to say, take me to the battlefield for a private Dragonstorm. And if you haven't already, I would say definitely make sure that your game volume is hearable. And you can hear like dialogue and everything.
Yeah, I kind of tune audio. I've got the same thing as you when it comes to that, where it's like, I don't know what they were thinking with the original audio balance, but sometimes I feel like I'm having a stroke. I smell toast. I can't keep up.
All right, so I'm going to talk you through this. This is near this convergence replays the ending of Iceberg Saga, which story writing was eh. However, it became a really fun, repeatable activity. Step 1. The dragons are building these ley line things to siphon magic out of the ground. We got to stop it. So we're going to get down here, we're going to murder all the enemies that are in this circle until it captures, which basically just means they stop spawning in this spot.
Wait, it's okay. So you don't care about any of the adjacent enemies, just the ones in here.
At the moment, it's just this giant circle we're standing in. It's blue, so there's no enemies in it. Now we can use this jump pad and launch yourself to the other side of the map. It's a very large area.
Okay, you gotta actually press F on the thing.
You can just spacebar jump on it, but either way works.
How come I'm not going anyway? You found a launch pad. Train glider basics in the gliding.
Oh wow, it's a
mastery to be able
mastery.
to deploy your-
Okay, never mind. Just run. Anyway, all right, come down near the middle.
Shoelace Express time.
Come down near the middle.
What'll happen to Bram?
And are you able to hear the NPCs?
Bram knew the risks.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, they just talked about Bram.
At this point in the story, Bram is corrupted, and this is Ryland's son.
Oh.
Did you? Oh?
Why is it always that some of the best parts of this game always involve some version of SPCA, Bird of the Cats?
You can control. Coward. I'll show you real dragon power.
Ow. Wow, I'm bad at this.
Jormag has not yet joined him, champion.
In the
You
meantime,
must
while we
draw
fight
them
this
out.
guy, do you have any personal advice on what characters, or at least what classes, are the best to play if you're always consistently going to be on the highest end of latency?
Mechanist with a rifle is pretty auto attack heavy, so even if you're lagging, it'll keep going just fine.
Right, but is it that like combo mechanist thing where you have to time your auto attacks or not?
No, it's just
Okay.
unga bunga. There's a
Thank God, I
thief and a
found my
guardian
claws.
build as well that are basically just auto attacks. Now, when he does those giant red circles, you can just dodge roll them as long as your latency can keep up.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I'm going to be getting out of those circles.
Can't get distracted.
Okay, so really
didn't
quick,
go to
since this
plan.
is jumping ahead in the story for you, Jormag had a champion,
Pride won't let him
which
stay away.
is Ryland, son of
Wonder
Ritlock.
where he gets that from.
Primordius didn't have a champion, and by him having a champion, he would then have a weak point. So Bram, against everyone's wishes, maybe it was smart, maybe it was stupid, went to Primordius and said, hey, you should let me be your champion. And
Look.
so here's Bram, coked out of his mind on lava power,
We're not
but
here
it
to
also
kill.
makes a weak point for
We're here to kill
Primordius,
Primordus.
the fire dragon. So we have basically, at this point in the story, lured the fire and ice champions to this one spot.
Okay.
And you notice he's just summoned this big fire thing. Ignore that. Just keep focusing on Bram.
Okay, so you don't have to dodge every single circle on the ground.
no,
It's
no,
not
no,
like
no.
it's going to wipe you out in one hit.
Correct. And like, for example, the shockwaves that go along the ground from Bram's stuff, you can spacebar jump over them. Oh, someone put down ascended
Yeah,
food.
so that's
Nice.
good.
All right, cutscene.
Oh, damn, that looks cool. Wow. Ram got a facelift. I mean, it's pretty offensive of him to all of a sudden go blackface, but I mean, I suppose whatever makes you look better. Okay, that's cool. That was really cool.
All right.
Just try it.
So this is a three-way battle. Ice hates fire, fire hates ice. They both hate us. All right, look on your minimap.
Yeah.
They've rebuilt lay siphons. They're pulling magic out of the ground again. We got to destroy them.
It'll shift the power in Jormag's
Okay.
favor.
I'm guessing that's the orange circles.
So just go there and break whatever you find until it says complete.
Destroy the ley line siphons. Do
Ah,
that.
damn.
Of course, many of the people here have done this already, so they're blasting.
I'm sure it'll be no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's unsurprising.
Now, the two of them are killing each other. We need to interrupt them. Use any crowd control you've got.
No more. Today,
If you've got a turtle or a warclaw, they've got spammable CZ. Okay, they just blasted
as
apart.
long as Jormag
So now
is
everybody
connected to
splits
the
up.
power of the
So run to one of
and
them
the frozen,
and
they
start
will
committing
keep
violence.
Primordus cowed.
All right, I'm gonna go ice.
Don't let up. We've got to bring both champions down.
Now, you see their hit point bars at the top right? We have to have them
Yeah.
both die around the same time.
Oh, damn. Okay, so you've got to you've got to time it. I've been through a WoW raid that's kind of like this. It was in Nax Ramus.
Time. One is not enough. We've got to
I remember
bring
that.
Ryland
The
and Bram
polarity
down
guys, I think.
together.
Yes, that's them.
Yeah, the whole thing in the story is the only thing that can kill Jormag is Primordus, and vice versa. Now, Primordus is stupid. He's just like he's just instinct. He's easy to trick and lure around, but Jormag was the deceiver, the whisperer. Jormag was like, yo, I'm not stupid. I'm not getting anywhere near Primordus. So they had to do a whole bunch of crap to lure them together without Jormag picking up on it. And
We
this is
caused
the
this
finale.
in the first place.
Sorry, what was that?
Essentially, what you're telling me is our characters essentially caused this in the first place.
Yes, we lured them together.
That's pretty malicious.
Really
like
good music here too.
Turn the music off. Maybe I need to turn it back on. Oh damn. Okay, so we're lacking on Ryland. I suppose it's just because everyone loves beating up Graham.
That is true.
Completely understandable. Very respectable decision.
Okay, so we got them both low,
Use the prisms now. The champions are hanging on to dragons
and
by
now
a thread.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to do this right. There's a circle you stand in near where everybody's running to, and it throws you at the dragons, and then you'll get a special action key that unleashes a bunch of energy right in their face.
But I don't have gliding, so I can
Try it anyway.
I can stand here. Like an
Try it
idiot.
anyway. Let's see what happens. No, not the jump pad. The big
Nah,
white
just
circle right next to you.
spins.
The big white circle.
Oh damn. Sorry, I don't see color like that.
It's a. It's the. Okay, whatever.
Dragons.
All right, orange circles.
Might take
well.
a couple rounds.
Ice and fire.
Definitely messed that up. That's fine. That's
Did he
how we
move?
learn.
No, he kept jumping on the jump pad, but it's okay.
This is how we learn. It's fine.
Chat, you know what would be crazy is if he got that eye infusion. There's an item worth 1,000 to 2,000 gold that drops in here really rarely.
Oh, so it's like a super low percentage kind of.
Yeah, it's a lottery
Yeah.
winning thing.
Right.
But I've seen it happen a few times.
Yeah, that's never happening for me. I'll play this game for 7 years and that won't happen. Mastery point earned.
Okay, break the
Look at that.
Clashing Champions Defiance. So use any CC you have on this bubble. Break them apart again.
When I get there, I will.
Are they
My
blasted
character is
apart?
wheelchair bound.
Why don't you go hit Bram this time, just so you could experience both?
Are you still supposed to use CC on them?
Yes. Yeah, Bram and Ryland, if they have a CC bar, it basically means stop them from doing a big attack.
Alright, that makes
music
perfect
picking
sense.
up again.
Oh, I can hear it. Oh man, there's no way with my latency I'm gonna be able to dodge most of this stuff. Ah, Ryland is... What? Okay, everyone really loves beating up,
Oh. Yeah,
Bram, to the
stop
point
on
that
Bram,
it's
you guys. Stop on
unreasonable.
Bram. Let Ryland catch up. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. All right.
I feel
Okay.
it, champion.
Time to boop him in the nose again.
connection's
So
weak.
run to one of the things and look for the white circle on the ground, not the
Alright.
jump pad.
Now, seven up on to the dragon.
a white circle.
Yeah. So up there.
I'll
where
just put my
everyone else is.
racist goggles on, I'll find it. Oh, there it is. Let me do it. And then I hit the N button.
Special.
I
Hit the
was
special
right.
action key.
That was awesome.
Yep, and then basically we just do that to both of them, because there's 43 of us. But we just blast both of them a whole bunch of times, do damage.
This is genuinely
And then we're almost done.
Stay focused. One last
So the two
push.
champions smash into each other one more
For
time.
all of us.
This is the last one.
Alright.
And we interrupt them a final time.
And that's basically like the
Champion!
Okay.
CC chain, where you just do as much as you can.
Yep.
This power!
Alright, so Orion's screaming for help. So look up.
To the prisms!
I'm coming. Hold on, Oreen.
Okay, Kamehameha wave here.
Yeah.
Champion!
So
I'm
she's
pulling
collecting
you back.
all that power, and she's using it to try to just slam them into each other. And she
Oh, I've seen that dragon before.
So she throws us out of the way. And then don't blink.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Man, that's awesome. I can't believe they got the dragons to dark like that.
I used to, every time that would happen, because they're twins, I would play Sweet Home Alabama for a few seconds, and I got DMCA'd and I had to stop.
That's fair.
That was Dragonstorm. And if you look at the ground, it's now a mess of, like, charred ground and ice down there. You can walk up to the cliff and, like, look down it.
Okay, and this is the interlaced incest fingers, or what is this ball?
Oh, it's a giant treasure chest. If you don't have auto loot, you should pick that up. But it's basically just a loot for the run.
All right.
But every time you do this, you get, if you look in your bag, you've got 6 memories of Aurene, which are, like, they sell, let's see, if I sell them all right now, they're worth 3 gold.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at your stream to see what they
Actually,
look like.
wait, is it a... Oh, shoot, it might, I don't know, it might require you to get a mastery from Icebrood Saga first. But you still got some...
Fine, I got 1 point doing this. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. But, yeah, so that was the finale of Icebrood Saga, which is called Dragonstorm. And Dragonstorm is content that, like, you know, as a streamer, I can just grab people from chat and do it anytime we feel like. It does scale, so you can come in here with 10 people, and just 5 people beat up Ryland and 5 beat up Bram, or you can do 50 people and split it, you know, in however many you have, just split it down the middle. As long as you got 10 plus, you're fine. But you could do this once a day for big rewards. It's pretty epic. Soundtrack is awesome, which is why this is one of the things that I thought that you might like. Story-wise,
that was great.
This was actually the low of Icebrood Saga. Icebrood Saga...
This was the low?
Yeah, Icebrood Saga was all about how we couldn't trick Jormag. Jormag was the deceiver, the whisperer. She would get in people's heads. And then somehow we got Jormag here to just come, you know, hey, here's the one thing that can kill you, give it a kiss. You know, and it was just like, the writing for this part didn't make a lot of sense, I'm gonna be honest. But this event is awesome and people do it every day. And also, Icebrood Saga up to this point was really good. They went for a dark theme with Icebrood Saga. Like, there was deaths. There was, like, you know, Jormag was talking in your head, like, champion. You know, like, she'd be, like, whispering, like, friggin' ASMR and stuff like that. She would be talking in Norn's heads and making them think she was the spirits and making them kill other people. Like, she was turning our people against each other. It was very manipulative. It was really cool. But this was one of the things that came to mind when you said, show me something epic.
Okay, so that's what you showed me was exactly what I meant. This would definitely at least suppress any suicidal thoughts that a new player would have for a good week before, you know, they have a bad dream about Zaitan again.
Yeah, and then, like I said, is like this, the people that we grouped with, this is just random people from our chats, right? This is not that complicated. I don't think I've ever seen this place fail. I've seen people screw it up a little bit, like you kill Bram too fast, then Bram revives, and then you got to kill Bram again, but I've never seen this fail. Whereas if I had taken you to a raid to actually do a raid, we might have been wiping the whole time, and I didn't want to do that for what you asked.
Yeah, no. This is exactly what I meant. Like, new player, really bad at the game. They're still, you know, in recovery from Zaitan. They need to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that things get better. That was, I'll be honest, that was a little bit too good. Now I think that Guild Wars 2 players are a little bit, you know, they're a little bit whiny. The dragon didn't fight the way I wanted it to, because that was awesome.
Well, another part of it, just to give you a broader scope here, is the first Elder Dragon ever introduced was Primordus waking up at the end of Guild Wars 1, okay? So Primordus had been a growing threat. Like, Primordus woke up in Guild Wars 1, and one of his lieutenants, literally one of his boys, was the final boss of Guild Wars 1, okay? That's how dangerous he was. And then, him waking up made all the Asura and other races flee the underground. Jormag waking up made the Norns flee the north. Okay? So he was a growing threat for over 10 real-life years. Then all of a sudden, now granted, this is a fun fight, but all of a sudden, this comes out and we're like, Primordus, Jormag, now kiss. And they're both dead. And everyone's like, what? Like, there was 10 years of build-up, and then just this patch dropped off out of nowhere. There was a running theory, because, again, no one expected End of Dragons. There was a running theory that Icebrood Saga was chugging along, and then the company, ArenaNet, was basically told, like, you guys have been greenlit for End of Dragons. We need 95% of your developers to work on EOD. Have Bill and Ted in the back with some Red Bulls just wrap up Iceberg Saga for us. And they came out with this. And it just abruptly ended IBS. And then Primordius, who had been getting built up for like 10 years, just suddenly died. And we're like, oh, okay. So
I've noticed that the Guild Wars 2 dev team really has a problem with like loose ends and trying to like tie off stories.
Yeah. So
like
basically,
a big deal.
like the more into the Guild Wars 1 and 2 story you were, the angrier you got from this. But if you were just like, whoa, big dragon, yeah, then it was cool, you know.
Oh damn, am I really number 5 on the DPS meter? Or is that just something else that I'm looking at?
Anyone who's zoned out are removed from the list, so.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pretend that that's where I always was.
Yes. All right.
Damn, that was cool.
At this
Okay,
point,
that was perfect.
You can come over here to this chopper, click on the rope dangling from it, and you can click on save a seat for me, and it'll take you back to where we started.
I suppose that all transport is Asura and short buses everywhere, so that makes sense.
Actually, I think that is a Charr steampunk helicopter. The
Is it?
Asura stuff is all like hover pads and magical golems. I'm pretty
that's
sure
true.
anything with exhaust pipes is Charr.
That's true. Oh, that makes... Oh, man, that's such good environmental storytelling. Because the Asura are too short to reach between the rungs on a ladder. Of course.
Muck you.
It's beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. I don't
Sure.
want to waste too much of it. That was beautiful.
Aside from the first hour.
Yeah, aside from me having a stroke trying to just get an audio thing to work.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You really put me on the spot. I know that you did it on purpose, but not giving me the questions ahead of time definitely put me on the spot. So I'm like, oh my god, I gotta save him from Guild Wars suicide in freaking 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's the point. Is I wanted some real answers. I wanted some like off the top of the head things. Because if you prepare for it, I know you. You've got a million guides. You're just gonna go back through there and find all the bullet points. Hey, ChatGPT, just summarize all the absolute best points I've ever made. No, I wanted this off the top of your head today. Maybe you'll change your opinion next week. Maybe you'll wake up in the middle of the night tomorrow and you'll be like, damn, I said that. But that's the point, right?
Well, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad that you enjoyed the thing that came to me off the top of my head.
But yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. That would definitely save a new Guild Wars 2 player from suicide after experiencing Zaitan at least 8 times like I did.
I'm trying to think, like, the other Elder Dragons. The Heart of Thorns, you already know it's Mordramoth. Mordramoth, the Nature Dragon, is a really interesting one because the meta of the final map is killing his body. But there's a moment in the meta where he suddenly thrashes around and does something really stupid. And most players are like, why did he do that? That makes no sense at all. And it took a lot of people a while to realize there's a part in the story. Again, I was describing the meta. In the story, there's a part where you attack his mind. And the general player consensus is the part of the story where the commander attacks Mordramoth's mind is supposed to happen at the same time as a raid of nameless people are outside doing the meta and they're attacking the body. So when you get to that point, that is supposed to be that. Kraukatoric has a really epic end. I'd say they did a great job with that one. That's the dragon in Living World Season 4. His element is just magic. He literally tries to eat heaven and hell. I showed you the underworld earlier. He tries to eat it, along with other planes of existence.
He's a hungry boy.
Yeah, he's huge. And then Primordus and Jormag is fire and ice. You just saw them. Who's the other one? Oh, Suwan, which is the water one, who she's in End of Dragons. Her ending was pretty awesome. Because her ending, because the whole thing, if you don't already know this, is when an aspect dies, its power is divided among the others. And that's really important. So, like, Zaitan could make zombies.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Say that again.
When a dragon dies, its power is split among the other dragons.
Okay, so basically killing one of them does nothing, it just makes the others stronger. That is such a good lore reason as to why each successive expansion...
Right,
okay,
and one of your future villains will tell you what an absolute dumbass you are, and he will say, I'm trying to save the world from you. That's in Living World Season 4. However,
that's awesome.
Zaitan, Zaitan was zombie apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
Mordremoth can make basically kind of like plant zombies. They're called Mordrum, but basically you'll see like a corpse with vines all over it, kind of getting puppeteered by the vines. He got that ability when you killed Zaitan. Okay? Then when you kill Mordremoth, Aurene, who's the dragon on our side, as well as Jormag and Primordus and blah, 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 all of them get some of that power. By the time you get to End of Dragons, there's Aurene, who's on your side, the player, and Suwan, who is not necessarily evil, but she has lost control because she doesn't know what's been going on, and you just force-fed her half of Mordremoth, Zaitan, Primordus, Kraukatoric, and Jormag. And all of a sudden, she is bursting at the seams and going absolutely insane. And so Suwan's final battle is she's just basically got powers of all of them just ripping out of her body, and she can't control any of it. And it's also, you know, it's supposed to be kind of like like pulling at the heartstrings because she's not evil. But
but you still gotta kill her.
She gotta go. Yeah. And if you kill her, then Aurene has 100% of all the dragon's power, and maybe she's gonna explode. So it's just
nice.
Like our strategy of stab everything bad is not working out.
That's damn. So wait, what would happen? Is there like a lore explanation of what would happen if all the dragons are killed? Every single one of them.
So they kind of tease on that, and basically Aurene, the ally dragon, and again, I'm only telling you this much because you opened this door. Tell me if you want me to shut up.
No, I don't care.
Aurene basically says, like, okay, I need to concentrate to basically not be a magical nuke so much, I gotta get away from y'all. I can't even have people talking to me right now. And she basically dips out after End of Dragons. She goes into a cave somewhere and is just like sticking to herself and is just like kind of, I don't know, hibernating and just processing magic. But basically, like, a large chunk of all of the life magic, death magic, fire magic, ice magic, blah, 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 in the world is now funneling through just Aurene, and she's trying to just contain. So, we know that if she loses control, it's going to be a big boom. We don't know if that's going to just remove all magic from the world or what, but she, honestly, I think it was a pretty good storytelling device at that point in time, because she was becoming a, shoot, I'm having a brain dump. What is that phrase for a character who can solve any problem?
A Mary Sue.
Yeah, so she was becoming that. And by using that excuse, they got her out of the picture. And so the threats in the next expansion that she could just snap her fingers and be done with, she's not around to deal with them. Because she has to go focus on not exploding. And I honestly think that they did a pretty good job of that excuse at that point in time. Now, there's other parts I got gripes with, but I think that one was pretty well done.
Okay. I can start to see how, like, damn, why is the core games play experience so much worse than the rest of the game?
Oh, I'm obviously, as you've said yourself, I'm using rose-colored glasses, right? I'm telling you some of the coolest things I remember to try to give you those cool insights into the things I love about the game. There are, as you play through Iceberg Saga, there's going to be things that you're like, wow, this is dumb as hell, you know, before you get to the cool thing I showed you. And that's going to probably be true for any expansion. Like, I acknowledge that. But those are some of the things that you're just, you know, ooh, for me.
Some of those are the things that hit the hardest, basically. That's beautiful, actually. That gives you, like, people a lot more to look forward to than, you know, what Zaitan does to your heart.
Yeah. The, did anyone ever, I don't remember if we already talked about this, did you ever hear about the supposed Zaitan Phase 2 that was supposed to happen?
Yes, I did. I think they did that entire design entirely wrong.
Yeah.
I know, I heard your suggestion about,
well, I was actually going to show you
going back in time.
Can you look at my stream for a second?
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't get this thing to open. Oh gosh. Hold on, there's a picture on this wiki page and I need it. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is supposed to be a size comparison of models in the game.
Yes.
This one way over here on the right, no one's ever found where this was used. This is what appears to be a damaged, half-buried dragon, like a dragon upper body. The rumor mill is Zaitan would have had a Phase 2 because it very closely resembles Zaitan, where this thing is buried under some rubble, and then you fight Phase 2 on the ground. And so that, although part of that was my idea, there's a rumor for years that was something they had planned and scrapped. Maybe they ran out of time. I don't know. And then it just ended with that stupid cannon thing. By the way, they actually scaled him down just to show you right now. This is a size chart. This is Zaitan's model in the game. Okay. This big thing is Kralkator.
That midget.
Okay, hold on. Do you see that this big
How is
thing
he an
over here?
Elfin dragon?
This big thing over here on the left? This is Primordus's head seen from above. That's his jaw.
God damn.
When they first introduced him in Living World, I want to say season 3, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, you find him sleeping underground in like a volcano. Like he's in the lava, and his head is sticking up above the lava, kind of like a shark fin. And it's like the size of an island, basically. Again, Zaitan's entire body would fit there like 3 or 4 times. But
how is Zaitan an Elder Dragon then?
He was too big for Dragonstorm, so they nerfed the size of his head for Dragonstorm because it didn't fit. The thing that I just took you to.
Damn. It's almost as big as most Americans.
Almost.
Oh man. Like how? I'm sorry, but how is Zaitan an Elder Dragon then? He's like a mosquito.
I don't know. I guess it's not how big your dragon is. It's how you use it.
Man, poor Zaitan. Now I feel even worse. He had a super awesome design, like and the build up near the end of how much of a danger he was so good. And then the fight sucked. And now I have to find out that Zaitan's also suffering from, like, a severe case of midgetitis. This is terrible.
Oh my god. Also, this big nope rope looking thing just to the right of Zaitan, that is Mordramoth's body. He kind of is like like a Chinese dragon, you know, like the long ropey ones. But
I thought that was another part of him.
Nope, no, that's a different image. No, but this one, it's really cool. They have when you fight him in the meta in Heart of Thorns, he's like wrapping around islands and crushing them and stuff like that. Like the land has actually changed while you're fighting him.
Okay, so basically he's I should have registered this with Jormag Jormungandr. So he's like the world serpent kind of thing.
Well, Jormag is the ice one. We just fought Jormag.
Wait, Jormag. Sorry, Jormag's the ice one.
Mordramoth does resemble the idea of Jormungandr. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So Jungle Schlong. Okay. That makes sense.
But when you fight him in his mind, it's completely different. He has a bunch of crazy forms when you fight him in his head because it's just whatever he imagines.
Yeah, that's always the worst. Just trying to convince an artist to do something, so that makes sense why he'd fight back so hard. Damn. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Sorry
this is a lot of fun. I'd be happy to do it again sometime.
Oh yeah. Well, when I figure out how to play the game.
How about when you figure out how to do your audio?
Yeah. Okay, I'll min-max my audio, and then when I can figure out how to press more than 2 buttons.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I did enjoy it, and now we can go make some videos and then react to each other's videos, and we will at least pay a month of our bills.
You can pay a month of your bills. I'm just gonna go rob my neighbor.
Okay. All right. You take care. I'm heading out.
All right. Cheers, man.
See ya. Oh, okay. All right, chat. We did it. We kept him from deleting his character and uninstalling his game.